Still no David?
He's there.
Morning.
He doesn't have headsets on.
Never mind.
Morning.
Good morning. They changed all the computers.
Okay.
Didn't think I was going to get on. Nearly broke a chair.
All righty then.
Been up since 4 o'clock. Nervous over this.
I'm sorry about that.
Well, I don't like when at 2 o'clock they say, hey, we changed everything. We left some instructions. So I can't come in and do anything about it. I can't test it. I want out of this place so bad. Would do anything to be at Gentry's.
$30.
5 months in Hawaii, Steve. Good for you.
Oh, what I got here? 5 months. Wow. Oh, wow, Steve. You missed a lot.
15 seconds. 10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Hope your week is going well. Thanks so much for being with us as we ask you, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. A little more than 48 hours away from one of the best football weekends of the year, the divisional round, where once you get through wild card weekend, well, you start sniffing it. You start thinking, I got a chance. How you doing this morning?
David, I'm not going to lie. It's been a rough morning.
Uh-oh.
They made changes in the studio, and they let me know at a time that I couldn't test any of the changes before they do what they do in the afternoons around here. So I had to come in blind this morning, and it didn't work. I had to call engineers at 5 in the morning.
Oh, well, and they're just thrilled to hear from anybody at 5 in the morning.
I'm sure.
Okay.
So I feel badly because I think it was more user error than anything else.
Okay, well, it happens.
So I'm a little on edge this morning, David. A little on edge.
All right. Well, but everything's okay, right? I mean, I can see you on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv, and, we're going out over the air. So, all's well that ends well, right?
I think so.
You know that to be true. You're just not willing to accept it.
Well, I know it's true, but I was a little nuts this morning, a little out of control, and now I got to reel it all back in.
I will say the first glimpse that I got of you about 14 minutes ago, your hair was quite disheveled. And I thought, wow, looks like a rough morning.
It was a rough morning.
Because you're a fingers through the hair guy when things start happening. Okay. You start and your part can go either way. So, but you start, combing the fingers through the hair. And so
And sometimes just put
that too. And now, it's funny. Sometimes you doing things and you look in the mirror and you go, I'll be damned. It looks pretty good.
we can walk out with that look.
Right. Wow. I guess I was a human comb this morning. How about that? Okay. There are other times in which we do it and we're like, oh, damn. Okay. We look like Kramer, Jim from Taxi. We're like, man, we got to do something about this.
I've resembled those remarks on more than one occasion. I can always tell by the wife or daughter's look on their face when I walk out of a room, and it's like, what the hell is going on over there?
I always like it when the wife gives you the look like, hey, listen, I know we're married and, you can go out looking like that and it's not like it's going to affect the relationship, but could you just make me look a little better and do something with that, please?
You're so right. And I feel awful sometimes because the first thing that I do every morning is I wake up and I take our dog out. The dog's got to do his stuff. We got to go out.
Dogs got to do what dogs got to do.
Now, Monday through Friday at 4:30, 4:15, whatever the hell it is, it's not that big of a deal because no one's out there. Saturday and Sunday around 7, there's the likelihood that there could be a neighbor walking their dog. And I walk out of the house without even looking at what I look like. And I've walked back in going, oh my God, they must think a crazy person lives there.
Man, they must have partied hard last night in the Miller household. Man.
Between that and the overflowing recycling bin, they probably could make that assumption more times than not.
Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Terrific little show lined up for you, if we do say so ourselves. We'll check in with Matt Cannata, once again from Pro Football Network and College Football Network. Roy Cummings, where do the Tampa Bay Bucs go from here? Wasn't that a song once? Where do they go from here? No.
Wow.
Was that about it wasn't about the Bucs, huh?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay. All right. Rob Ellis, they're going nuts in Philadelphia. They think they got a Super Bowl run coming. And the franchise has gone to the Super Bowl 3 times. So they're jacked in the city of brotherly love. Rob Ellis, who has to put up with them on 94 WIP, he'll join us near the end of the show to just let us know what a foregone conclusion Saturday night's game is and whether or not they want the Niners or the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game.
Is that not Alan Parsons' project, Game People Play? That's Games People Play, as I believe the song is. You were going through Rob Ellis. I was singing the song continuously in my head until I could get to what the chorus was. I believe it's Games People Play by the Alan Parsons Project.
Very 70s AM radio. Dun 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 dun. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can only hear that through the static. Make it sound good. Yep. So I have no idea where that came from. But then again, at this hour, anything is possible. I mean, and I got a good night's sleep, nice hot shower. I mean, raring to go. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm a little more rested than normal. But yeah, I just went Alan Parsons Project at like 6:06 a.m.
That's okay. That's okay. It was probably a big hit in Scranton at one point.
That felt pre-Scranton. That felt like growing up in Jersey days.
You're probably right, but I'm thinking Scranton was a few years behind that. It just caught up to it while you were there.
You're assuming Scranton was a few years behind? What a wild accusation that is. My goodness. Thursday morning show, oftentimes you got to go forward because, last week it's been long enough. And also Wednesday's very much usually not a whole heck of a lot happens. I mean, you could say for the Florida Sports Network, how about Stammer getting a 500?
How about it? And getting a Hattie on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Felipe just asked because, he's young and the Lightning, he's the best Lightning player of all time, right? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
He's one of the greatest. Stammer's American, right? No? Canadian?
Yeah.
Okay. But, Stammer's also, think of his reputation. Go back to the beginning of, or not the beginning, the middle of last decade. Go back to the middle of last decade. Stamkos, captain. Was he gritty enough? Is he tough enough? Do the Lightning kind of resemble him? Really skilled, but. And then think of what you think of when you think of Stamkos now.
Running into the Hall of Fame.
Well, not just that, but also the toughness that he showed.
Coming back from injury and scoring in the playoffs and fighting through all these injuries to play. Absolutely.
The game-winning goal he scored to get them to the Stanley Cup final last year. Literally getting dragged down from behind and fighting through it and beating a world-class goalie on a rebound. And just remarkable how in hockey and in sports, but that your image and your reputation can change.
I'm a Michigan guy. It's a little bit of what Yzerman went through. Scotty Bowman came and changed the way that he played and had to make him a tougher player, play two ways of hockey. And Stamkos was a great scorer throughout. In fact, he's obviously still a great scorer, getting to 500 and adding on to it last night. And I think the 19th fastest to do it or something like that in the number of games. And you're right, David. He's become gritty while he still scores, and the team has responded by playing that way. Anybody think that Tampa's going to be an easy out in the postseason this year?
Does anybody want to face them? Are you kidding me? I don't care. Don't care if the team 2 years ago, 3 years ago was quote unquote better. Don't care. Don't care. They've got 6 world-class players on that team. And when one of them's your goalie, beat them 4 times in 2 weeks. Good luck. Good luck. Like Toronto wants to see them again. Like Boston wants to see them. Are you kidding me? He's not even 33, Stamkos. He's not even 33. Turns 33 in 3 weeks. He's been around for, he's the first pick of the draft 15 years ago. He's been around forever, it seems. I'm not talking about he's going to challenge Gretzky/Ovechkin here, but, could he get to 700?
Ooh, that's a stretch.
Okay.
He's about to turn 33.
Right. I just said that in 3 weeks. And so, finish out this year probably with 515, something like that. Tell you what, 3 more years, I'll bet he gets to 600.
I agree with that. 700 is a hell of a stretch, though.
Yeah, it is. And then he may, pack it in at 20 years, which is about 6 years from now. So maybe he doesn't. Maybe he gets, I don't know, 680. He's another one, though, Mark. If you wanted to, 5 years from now, if he's not, on the number 1 line and what have you could park him on that near wall, put him on the power play, probably score you 20.
Difference is Washington's going to do that with the guy that's going to set a record, and they're going to go backward. I don't know if Tampa will. I can't see Stamkos allowing Tampa to go backward so he can continue to score goals on the half wall, if you know what I mean.
But marvelous player. And yes, greatest player in Lightning history, which is saying something, because how many Hall of Famers do you think he's playing with now? The goalie and Hedman are both going to go, right?
Yes.
That could be it. We'll see about some others, but just think about that. You go see the Lightning play. You got a Hall of Fame goalie, a Hall of Fame defenseman, and Hall of Fame forward.
And a
on the same
Kucherov
team.
out there as well.
Yeah, right. Who's in play.
Right.
Who's definitely in play. Right.
Who's a top 20 guy in the league right now.
Right. And I have to admit, all right, I have a feeling this Braden Point guy is going to have a ridiculous career when it's done too. So, and the coach. I mean, I would like to think he'd go, but I will say they're a little slow with coaches. The Hockey Hall of Fame.
But congratulations to Steven Stamkos on getting to number 500 last night, doing so in a W. Always nice when you hit the milestones and the team gets a victory. Added an empty netter, had a hat trick on the night, and Steven Stamkos getting to the magical 500 goals last night for the Tampa Bay Lightning in their win over Vancouver. Quite a night for the Lightning. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. Back with the starting five in 25 minutes on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686 or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Paying attention to this LPGA event in Lake Nona?
I am not.
So they, the guys at the country club wouldn't give up their lockers. Normally, you pack up your stuff, and usually you leave a note for, especially if it's an LPGA event. You leave a note, you wish them luck. That's our deal. They come in, they take over the locker room for a week, they leave, you bring your stuff back. Yeah. Guys wouldn't do that. So the women, this is the Tournament of Champions. And they had no locker room. Also, practice range. You're only allowed to come an hour before you play. You can't like spend hours practicing.
Well, why would they have a tournament somewhere and not clear this beforehand?
Right. Well, that's kind of what some of the players are asking. Then also the way the LPGA did their schedule, there's this event and then there's not another one for a month. So you got a whole bunch of the top players who aren't playing. You have players who live in Lake Nona who are not playing in this event. So you throw this on top of how they ended last year in Naples when none of the players showed up at the dinner. And
well, that's right.
And then I will say, if you look at the first 2 months of the LPGA schedule, it is the worst travel schedule ever. It's like, let's go from Florida to Taiwan, okay, to Africa, to here, to there. Remember we used to talk about NASCAR, how the first week after Daytona, they'd go to like,
Phoenix.
and we're like, why don't you go to Atlanta or Homestead? You know.
It's a sticky situation there, Steve. If that's
Tell you what, though, they've all said, because of the lack of money that they play for, they all said, well, not all, but many of them have said, if LIV came to us, it would be really difficult for us to turn them down.
You guys see the audio from the locker room of Trevor Lawrence mentioning Waffle House?
I did.
That's awesome.
Cooper doesn't even have a Coach of the Year award.
It's remarkable to me he didn't win it. What was it? Was it 2019 when they got knocked off in the first round by Columbus? I mean,
Right.
That was an amazing regular season.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Matt Cannata, Roy Cummings, Rob Ellis, all to join us coming up on the show today. Divisional playoffs beginning Saturday, late afternoon. By the way, snow in the forecast for both AFC games. Apparently snow in Kansas City on Saturday, snow in Buffalo on Sunday. Now, I don't know how much. Remember, the Niners-Seahawks game was supposed to be a lot wetter and muddier than it actually was last week. It's just a little bit of moisture in comparison to what was forecast. But right now, snow in the forecast for both AFC games.
Hope we just get one. Really and truly, just for the look.
Well, man, we love our snow in football, man. That's like 4 million more viewers right there.
It is, and it should be. For whatever reason, the rest of the world likes to see people playing football in the snow.
And, depending on where you are, what the forecast will be in the Sunshine State this weekend. But, Mark, I'm thinking you're going to be in the 80s, right?
Definitely.
Watching snow in Kansas City and Buffalo.
All got a problem with my outside television. I got to make sure that's fixed for the weekend so I can sit outside and watch football in the snow. It's always more fun to do it that. You want to feel a part of the elements, David.
That is something you always have to put on the list. You're like, man, I got to make sure, the lanai and the outdoor TV is all set for the NFL playoffs in January.
Yep. Nothing like a Super Bowl from the hot tub.
So we could have that as the scene. Let me ask you this, just gut feeling. Usually in the divisional round, on average, 3 home wins and a road win. That's usually what takes place. Now, that's not what took place last year. Remember, both 1 seeds got beat this weekend last year. Niners went into Lambeau, shocked the Packers, and then Cincinnati went into Nashville, shocked the Titans. But usually, you go back 20, 30 years, it's usually 3-1. So it's the old, once again, if we did poll questions, what road team do you think will win this weekend in the NFL playoffs? Best shot is
Cincinnati.
I think most everyone would say that.
I think that or Dallas. I think you have to with Dallas. The first thing you have to do is just eliminate, which you've done. You've done better than, I would say, anybody who does this for a living outside of Cowboys beat reporters. You dismissed the Washington game 34 seconds after it was over with.
I dismissed it late first quarter. I'm like, oh, they're not playing today.
In fact, you dismissed it the week leading up to the show. I mean, you said constantly, how hard are they going to play? Really and truly, how much are they into this game, knowing that Philadelphia is playing a Giants team that's not putting out much of an effort this week? It's going to be pretty difficult for the Giants to win that game. I mean, you were ahead of this and on it from the get-go. So the first thing you have to do with Dallas is you have to eliminate that dreadful Washington performance. Well, it's pretty easy to do after the way they played against Tampa Bay. Now, the next thing for Dallas is that can they put 2 really good performances back to back? That's the question that remains to be seen.
Well, I'll say this. I think some of the Cowboys' recent past is affecting how many of us look at this year's team. Pat Kerwin brought it up a few times throughout the course of the year. The Cowboys' record against winning teams is good. The Cowboys' record against playoff teams is good. It's like one of the best in the league, actually. The other thing, Mark, is the Cowboys have lost 5 times this year. They haven't lost 2 in a row. I mean, the Cowboys, every time they lost, and then people go, oh, same old Cowboys, they come back with winning streaks, actually. I think they won at least 2 in a row after every loss. So, I think McCarthy and this group are suffering a little bit from recent past inconsistencies and failures. This team's, Mark, I would argue this is the 3rd best Cowboys team this century. It's a pretty darn good team. Thank you very much. Now, it doesn't mean they win this weekend, but I think there's a little more meat on the bone than maybe some of us are giving them credit for.
Well, and you have to make the next decision is, 1, obviously we talked about the Washington game, but 2, did they, just beat a bad football team in Tampa? And I think a lot of us believe that was the case, because that's the same Buccaneers team that we've watched this year that was incredibly inconsistent, couldn't run the football. We know San Francisco in the last 3-4 weeks averaging damn near 175 yards a game on the ground.
And that's the game. Come on, let's be honest. That's the game. That is the game. If the Niners can run the football when they want to run the football, they're going to win. Can Dallas be the first team to put the game in Brock Purdy's hands? And if so, think about what Purdy's going to face. He's going to face a good pass rush. He's going to face a secondary that can give up the big play, but boy, can they create the big play. You know, they jump routes. There's speed back there. So, you know, I mean, has Purdy been in a close game in the fourth quarter yet? I mean, honestly, has he had to throw a pressure pass yet? One score game, fourth quarter, 3rd and 7 from his own 14.
Up until the last part last week. He went into the fourth quarter up 6. That game was still very much in doubt when the fourth quarter started. And they delivered a spectacular fourth quarter.
They did. They did. I will say, I think they knew. I think the Seahawks knew. I think we all knew, you know, who the better team was. You know, I think that the machine was rolling at the beginning of the fourth quarter and the avalanche was about to start. But yes, you're right. I mean, Mark, listen, Seattle was closer to San Francisco at the beginning of the fourth quarter than Jacksonville was to the LA Chargers. Jacksonville was down 10. Seattle was down 6. So that is true. But, and the other thing, I mean, if Dak plays Sunday like he played on Monday, and say what you want, Tampa's defense is not bad. Come on now. That's not a bad defense. That's, I mean, on its worst day, that's a middle-of-the-road defense. On its best day, that's a top 10 defense. It's not an awful defense. And he tore it up. Tore it up. Now, he's going to face a little more pressure this week than he faced Monday.
Right, and he's going to face pressure from 4 and still have full coverage back there. I mean, that is... You described the biggest element of the game. The next most important is, can Dak play a clean football game? Because he didn't just play a clean football game against Bucs. He damn near played a perfect football game.
After starting out 0 for 3, at one point, I think he completed 19 of his next 21.
Well, I think he was 25 of 33 for the game. So he was 25 of 30 after that first 3 and out, or first 2 3 and outs they had.
Mm-hmm. That's not bad, by the way. That's 83%. In a playoff game, just for the record.
So that's the game within the game as far as we're concerned with the Cowboys and 49ers. We will continue to get into that game and the rest of the divisional round today as well. The starting 5 coming up on the other side. Great show lined up for you today. Matt Cannata on the show, Roy Cummings and Rob Ellis to talk Eagles on Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686, or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Anybody following this New York congressman story?
The guy from Long Island that just continues to lie?
Yeah, George Santos. So, not making this up. So, apparently 15 years ago, he was a drag queen in Brazil.
That's the latest?
That's the latest.
I can't get enough of it. I want a Netflix documentary. I want this to be like a F1 doc. I mean, I need more, and more.
Well, they're digging. Everybody's digging. Brazil, in fact, is like, hey, I'm glad you found this guy. He committed fraud 15 years ago. Now we didn't know where he went. Now we can charge him. Oh boy. So apparently the Australian Open is under attack from Australians because apparently the ball boys and ball girls, it was found out, aren't getting paid.
Okay.
U.S. Open, kids get $15 an hour. Wimbledon, they get $242 a week. So they're now considered volunteers. You got to remember, it's hot as blank right now in Australia. One of the guys quoted as saying, "Are we in a Dickens novel or something? Come on, pay them."
I wonder if it's I'll be damned. Oh, it must have filled up. That's what happened. All right. And bad golfer, to your comment earlier, both. They couldn't run the football, and once they couldn't, they quit trying.
Yeah, to me, the play calling down by the goal line is evidence of what's wrong. And if that was Tom's doing or Leftwich's doing, Adam, the Cowboys Niners in the early to mid 90s, and you start talking about the Hall of Famers that were on the field playing against each other. I mean, both quarterbacks, legendary wide receivers. You know, Ricky Waters was an outstanding back. Emmett, obviously a legend.
10 seconds.
Remember, you had Ken Norton playing for both, Dion playing for both.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Matt Cannata, 1 hour from now. Talk Dolphins and the rest of the NFL. Some interesting interviewing going on for coordinator positions by a lot of teams. Roy Cummings, a little over an hour from now. Where do the Tampa Bay Bucs go from here? Rob Ellis, 2 hours from now. WIP in Philly. Eagles are the 1 seed, baby. Is this their year? Second time in 6 seasons going to the Super Bowl? Maybe? Talk to Rob Ellis about that coming up. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, Mark, it's not going to take a whole lot of intrigue to let you know what one of the moves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to make this offseason. Because Todd Bowles pretty much announced it yesterday when he met with the media. He said, Ryan Suckup, I mean, he was good, but we need a guy who can kick longer field goals. Suckup was terrific from 47 yards and in. 50 plus, 2 for 7. And his average field goal attempt 50 plus was a little over 52 yards. It was the worst record amongst kickers in the league who attempted 5 or more kicks from beyond 50. So considering he's got a cap hit of 3.7, one would think that the Bucs are probably going to go cheap. Probably get somebody to cost them the 0.7. Save $3 million right there. Moving on from Ryan Suckup. Dallas special teams coach John Fossil said, yes, Brett Maher does have the yips. No doubt about it. But we're going to try to coach him through it. However, we did sign Tristan Vizcaino to the practice squad. He's a kicker. He was with us a couple years ago. Just in case, throughout practice, he's still got the yips.
I think they're lying about putting the new kicker on. I think it's whether or not they can get holder, snapper, and new kicker all on the same page if they think they can get that done by the weekend. Because that's what I've listened to. There are more concerns about the chemistry between the three and screwing that up than it is really about. That's the part about bringing a new kicker that bothers them, with less time and just getting everything worked out. This kid starts making everything, you still could see a change.
Well, Mark, I mean, how concerned can they be that the first 2 parts of the equation are working great? Maher's barely keeping the golf balls on the range. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, how bad could it be, throwing Vizcaino there? Well, it throws our timing off. Have you seen the other guy's kicks? I mean, no offense. Take your time. Work it out. We'll hold everybody. Don't worry. They don't call it, especially not in the playoffs. Please. Mark, this is probably unpopular in your wife's family's domain, but Matt Cannata is returning to the Steelers as offensive coordinator.
Very Steelers-like, to be brutally honest. They don't make changes.
No. They laugh, actually, at their fan base. They're like, yeah, man, we love you, but you guys don't know what you're doing.
You don't understand how we do business around here. I don't know why. It's all you pay attention to, and we've done it the same way for a half a century.
I mean, are you paying too much attention to the Penguins? Are you not watching us? But I will say this, though. I mean, come on. They 5 in a row to end the season? Seem to have a quarterback, a running back, a tight end, and a wide receiver.
And a defense.
I mean, it is funny how all of a sudden they got effective play from the quarterback position and how nobody was screaming for Matt Cannata's job. It's funny how that works. The Jets interviewed Nathaniel Hackett for their offensive coordinator position.
God, I want them to hire him.
That's it.
I don't care how great of an offensive mind he is. If the Jets were to hire him, that would be laugh out loud funny.
That's a tough press conference right there. That's a tough one.
And they're important to the Jets.
Yes. They care far more about the press conferences than the Giants. Yes. Brandon Staley, by the way, officially coming back as LA Chargers head coach for year 3. Now, we assumed that the day before when the offensive staff got replaced, that it's like, well, they're not going to just do that if they're also replacing the head coach. So they made it official. Staley's coming back. They like a lot of things about him, Mark. A lot of things. Just, still looking for a playoff win. College football, former LSU quarterback Walker Howard transferred to Ole Miss. That's a tough one for the Gators because the Gators were all over him. Napier knew him from when he was in high school, the kids from Louisiana. Howard's dad was on record a year ago saying, "We love Billy Napier." Because I guess Napier was the first one to ever offer him a scholarship when he was at Louisiana there. He's going to an Ole Miss team who already has a starting quarterback. As opposed to possibly transferring to a Florida team that does not have a starting quarterback. Yeah, they took the Wisconsin kid as a transfer, but they took him because they need bodies. Now it looks like the Wisconsin kid's definitely going to be the starter. I mean, unless they, have a quarterback fall out of the sky here. Are you surprised Arkansas offensive coordinator Kendall Briles left to go to TCU?
It doesn't, it's a little, but I think you look at this, put it this way. In the next 5 years, let's just say he's 5 years at TCU, which I know is a long time. Who's got a better shot to go to the playoff?
Well, there's a couple things I think at work here. He just spent 3 years at Arkansas. He did a terrific job. Arkansas was top 15 in the country offensively last year. But do you think maybe he's thinking, if I could do this against SEC defenses, put me in the Big 12. All right. It's a little easier there. I'll go somewhere where we win more, gives me a better chance to become a head coach. But you don't normally see coordinators who, by the way, just got a nice raise at Arkansas, then say, no, I'm leaving to go to the Big 12.
I understand.
So,
but it's going to be even this year. It's an easier run to go to the playoff for TCU with Oklahoma and Texas still there. When they're gone, oh my goodness!
Right? No, I agree.
And to your point, you start winning games. You want a head coaching job. That's path.
Tua's brother returning to Maryland for his senior year. Maryland won 8 games last year. They've won bowl games in back-to-back years. And he said, when I committed here, I said I wanted to help turn the program around. And I don't think we're done yet. So, okay. I will say he's a pro prospect. He's a third-day draft pick right now, but he's a pro prospect. He is developing at Maryland. NBA, Heat have won 4 out of 5. I guess Vegas knew what they were talking about, Mark. The Heat, inferior record to the Pelicans. No Zion for New Orleans. Heat were 4-point favorites. Yeah, they won by 26. Bam with 26 points and 8 rebounds. It's always interesting when Atlanta and Dallas get together because Trae Young and Luka were traded for one another. Luka had 30. Trae had 18 points, 12 assists. Atlanta won in Dallas, 130-122.
130.
130.
130.
Correct. No Donovan Mitchell for the Cavs. They got beat by 1 in Memphis, 115-114. Brandon Beal returned for Washington, and the Wizards beat the Knicks at the Garden. Goes back to what we talked about a couple days ago. Knicks, the only team in the league with a winning record, yet a losing record at home. 116-105, Wiz. And the Sacramento Kings, Mark, have the third best record in the Western Conference. For those of you not paying attention, Kings 116, LeBron, who scored 32, and the Lakers 111. College hoops, UConn. Man, they were number 2 in the country 2 weeks ago. They've lost 5 of 6. Seton Hall came from 14 down in the second half, beat the Huskies 67-66. Another day in the Big 12. Tough going. TCU at West Virginia. Mountaineers hadn't won a conference game yet. They have now, 74-65. Tough one for South Florida. Bulls got whacked by the Bearcats in Tampa, 85-69. And the Gators fighting, scratching, clawing all their way back. Couldn't hit that last shot. A&M beat them by 2, 54-52. South Florida women, a winner against Houston. They're 17-4. I don't know why they're not ranked. Hockey, we talked about it earlier. Stammer with number 500. And for good measure, 501 and 502. Empty netter gave him the hat trick. He's got 21 goals on the season. Lightning with a 4-goal first. Beat Vancouver 5-2. The Bruins whooped the Islanders 4-1. They're 35-5-4. That's right. They've played 44 games. They've lost 5 of them in regulation. That's ridiculous.
It's remarkable.
Crosby with 3 assists, but the Penguins will lose her in overtime to Ottawa.
Yeah.
Colorado last night said, listen, you need to take us seriously still, okay? They went into Calgary and just dominated the Flames 4-1.
If they get healthy, they're going to end up being a 6, 7, 8 seed and look the you-know-what out for the Colorado Avalanche. They're literally like 6, 7 players down right now. And guys are going to start getting healthy, they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be – the timing could be perfect for them.
Yeah, they're going to be a wild card, and some poor division winners going to face them in round 1 and go home in round 1. Men's tennis. Djokovic, by the way, lost a set. He's in the 4th set right now. He's up 2-1. But the second seed on the men's side, Mark, Casper Ruud, upset by an American. We took out Nadal. Now we took out the second seed, Jensen Brooksby.
And yesterday it was Mackenzie McDonald or something like that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Jensen Brooksby. Sounds like a country club kid, maybe.
No.
But anyway, he beat Casper Ruud, the second seed, in 4 sets. 8-seeded American Taylor Fritz, however, upset in 5 sets. And on the women's side, 7-seeded players got beat in the second round. LPGA season tees off today in Lake Nona. It's the Tournament of Champions. Whole bunch of controversy. You got players who aren't playing in it because of the schedule. They're playing the Tournament of Champions this week, then they don't play another event for a month. So players are like, well, I'm not going to quit my offseason just to play in this. Then those that did show up, there's no locker room for them. That's no joke. There's no locker room. The men at the country club wouldn't give up their locker room for the women. So they're literally today flying in lockers, okay, so that the women have a place to.
Can't imagine. I'm surprised the women's locker room's not good enough at Lake Nona.
It's not. I know. You would think Lake Nona, for goodness sakes.
Right.
And yeah, and anyway.
It's a really bad look for that club.
It's a bad look for the LPGA Tour also. This is their Tournament of Champions. PGA Tour, the American Express at La Quinta, where Hudson Swafford is the defending champ. That gets underway today as well. And that, gentlemen, was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you go. That's some of what's going on. Slow sports day. Hats off once again to Steven Stamkos. Best player the Lightning have ever had. Curious if we'll think that way when it's over, though. By the time Hedman gets done, Vasilevsky adds a couple more cups. It'll be curious.
Look at you. I think it'll be that way for a long, long time.
Okay.
And the fact that he's played for one team
Mm-hmm. He was the first one. Remember when he was a free agent like 3 years ago? He took far less than what he could have gotten market value. He signed like that 8-year deal for like just under $9 million a year. And he basically turned and looked at the rest of them and said, if I'm taking the cut, what are you guys doing? And then everybody else started signing with the Lightning for like $1 million a year less than what they could have gotten on the open market. Mm-hmm.
And he turned down Toronto. That's
his hometown.
Right.
Right.
To be a legend in Tampa in hockey.
Hello.
It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Congratulations to Steven Stamkos. Now with 502 with the empty netter last night, completing the hat trick in the win for the Lightning. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out the whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686 or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Wow, how are we terrible for your health, Buck?
I did not, Spitz.
Did you guys see the clip of the guy costing himself millions and millions of dollars on Wheel of Fortune because he pronounced Achilles Achilles?
Yes.
So bad.
Mm-hmm.
So bad. I don't know how you recover from that one.
Did you see Dan Wetzel put out a story early this morning, David, that he just tweeted it out. This is the tweet. Negotiation between Michigan and the NCAA have broken down, sources told Yahoo. Yahoo is demanding that Harbaugh admit he lied to them. Harbaugh won't. That's interesting. What did... They're level 2. They're not even big. Who cares?
First off, why anybody would negotiate with the NCAA is beyond me at this point. I would just go straight to that arbitration thing, which is yet to heavily penalize anyone except Oklahoma State.
You want to talk Aaron Rodgers here and how annoying he's become?
Sure.
I don't know what else what you're thinking here. We've only got a couple more segments before we start knee deep into interviews.
10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday as we begin to turn our attention to the divisional round. We have just 7 games left, ladies and gentlemen. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 4 of them this weekend. To many of you, this is the best football weekend of the year. Well, some of you it was last weekend. Some of you it's next weekend. But just saying, there are quite a few that love this week.
Is yours this week or next week?
It's this week. I will say, and this is getting a little personal, but, you know, fortunate enough to do what I do. In the last 4 years, did it with Joe and Troy with Fox. And I realized Monday night how much I'm going to miss the NFC Championship game. All right, that's what I really, because, you know, our season ended Monday. And that, you know, as much as I was in a way bummed when Troy left Fox and went to ESPN because Fox is poised to get 2 of the next 3 Super Bowls, and selfishly, I wanted to work the Super Bowl. But I'm going to miss the NFC Championship. I love the conference championship games, but I do feel, Mark, when you get out of wild card round, you actually begin to sniff it. You actually start to think, you know, we can win this thing.
I think that's any sport. Believe it or not, I think that's any sport. You win the first round in hockey, you win the first round in baseball, you win the first round even in basketball, which is probably the toughest to get through because it is set up for the best teams. But there's something about winning a playoff round or a playoff game in which not just the players, not just management, not just the fans, but even the media. Because when you're in our world and you're covering a team, you want that team to do well. You want to keep working, just like David talked about. And the whole thing changes. Dallas, how different is Dallas Tuesday morning than it was Monday morning? Monday morning, doubt. They played the Washington Commanders badly. Dak had been throwing a lot of picks. Well, they go beat up on the Bucs. Make them look bad. Dak looks so impressive. By Tuesday morning, they're sniffing it. There's no doubt.
Yep. And to give you an example, I'm a New York Giants fan. So outside of the national stuff, when I want to zero in on my teams, I go to the New York Post. And so I go to the New York Post app like a couple days ago, and they literally go, no reason the Giants can't go on a Super Bowl run. And I'm looking at that headline going, yeah, there is. It's called the roster. Have you seen it? What are you guys doing? Don't, come on, seriously? Oh, yeah. No, because now Daniel Jones is a mobile Eli Manning right now. One game, boom, that's it. We got ourselves a top 10 quarterback in the league. Hell, might be top 7. He's so damn good. Okay? I mean, it's just the one win, and now anything is possible.
David, it's so funny you say that because I went over on Tuesday to hit a few golf balls, and our assistant pro is like you. He is a diehard Giants fan, and all year long, how good are they? He goes, they're not good, but they're going to make the playoffs. And that's all he's ever said. I don't even know if we're going to make well, they're good enough to make the playoffs. He was given a lesson when I got there to hit balls on Tuesday, and he finished his lesson, and he started walking over to me. And the grin was ear to ear. And he extended his hand to give me not a handshake.
He's going to bring you in for a bro hug.
Damn right. You know why?
He's happy.
Because the Giants won. And I'm not a Giants fan, but he knows when I come, we're going to talk Giants football. And he's got a couple of fans he can talk to, but he's got the one guy he knows hosts a sports show, and he can vent or talk or ask.
Yeah.
And he came in. He's ready to give me a free lesson. He was so excited. But his mood, but you described it perfectly. That was not his mood last week. It was excitement about being in the playoffs. Your mood off of the show was excitement. Hey, they made the playoffs. Good for them. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I was psyched. First time in 6 years.
You changed your day around on the weekend to be where you needed to be so you could watch your team play. And you don't do that during the regular season.
No. I looked at my family. I said, don't know what to tell you. I got to leave you 6 hours early. Why? Well, I got to get to Tampa. I got to get all set up. I got a playoff game. You got a playoff game. That's right. We're playing at 4:30. Yep. Darn right. I'm lining up. Yep. I'm a backup inside linebacker, number 51. There you go. We've got a game at 4:30. But I don't think to me, we got 8 teams left. 2 of them cannot go to the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. The Jags and the Giants cannot go to the Super Bowl.
Would you have said that about the Bengals last year?
Possibly. But I will say Tennessee, even though, I've got my soft spot for them, Tennessee was not a juggernaut. Tennessee had the perfect regular season storm. They had beaten both Kansas City and Buffalo in Nashville. And if you looked at where they played them on the schedule and what have you, it worked out perfectly. The Titans had the perfect regular season storm to be the 1 seed. But you didn't look at the Titans and think that they were the best team. A lot of people, quite frankly, Mark, think that the Eagles, may be the 1 seed, but that San Francisco could be the best team in the NFC. I think that's how we all looked at Tennessee last year, that the winner of the Buffalo-Kansas City game is actually the best team in the AFC, not the Titans. But it's possible. It's possible I would have said that. I mean, the top 4 seeds advanced in the AFC last year. I'll say this, though. I would not, because it was Green Bay hosting Frisco, and Frisco was the 6th seed. And then it was the Bucs and the Rams. I mean, Mark, you're right. Probably I would have put Cincinnati 8th out of the 8. And I might have said 7 teams can go to the Super Bowl because to me, the Niners matched up perfectly with the Packers.
Right.
And that style travels, and there's not a team they can't go on the road and beat. Not a dynamic team, but a really tough out. But yeah, it's possible last year that we all would have said there are 7 teams that can't go to the Super Bowl, and the Bengals would have been the one. And then look what happened. So but I honestly, like right now, I would lose large amounts of money if the Jags and or Giants went to the Super Bowl. Large amounts of money.
I'm with you. I just thought it needs to be pointed out that I think a lot of people would have said the same thing about the Cincinnati Bengals a year ago.
You're correct. I think more people than not would have said, no, Bengals can't go to the Super Bowl. I mean, even if somehow, some way they get by Tennessee, they ain't beating the winner of the Chiefs-Bills. They're going to have to go on the road for that game. They ain't winning that game. Okay.
And while out of the Jags and the Giants, I give the Jags a better shot this weekend. I'm with you because that not only means that the Jags would have to beat the Chiefs, they're going to have to beat the winner of Bills Cincinnati. And it just seems very unlikely that this team could pull that off.
You know, as was pointed out in our Twitch chat room, remember, Derrick Henry was 50-50 going into that game. He clearly wasn't healthy in that game. So the Bengals were a little bit more of a live play in that game than I think both the Jags and the Giants are this week.
I agree with that.
I, by the way, am not it's difficult to beat a team 3 times in a season. I'm actually the other way. No, actually, they've already beaten them twice. They're the better team. It's actually not a problem to beat the team a 3rd time. They're better. So we'll see.
It all comes down to, can the quarterback in Philadelphia produce? I mean, if he doesn't run well, the Giants' defense has been terrific.
They're really good in the red zone. They give up a lot in between the 20s and the 30s. They do, but they've been an excellent red zone defense. And when they played a couple of weeks ago, for what it was worth, they forced the Eagles to kick a lot of field goals. So he didn't run much in that game. And when he did, he made sure he got down and he ran out of bounds. He went out of his way not to take a hit a couple of weeks ago. He played unlike the way he normally plays. So we'll see how healthy he is. They're still the better team.
And I think he can get away with playing similarly in this game against the Giants, and the Eagles still win. I think he can slide and avoid hits and I think he should do everything he can do to avoid contact in this game. Because more than likely, it's going to be the following game where they're going to need every ounce of Jalen Hurts if they're going to make it to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. But so Sunday is probably the best shot at a road win. And let's face it, the 2 teams on Saturday that are on the road, they're significant underdogs. Of the 2, I'll say this. I give the Giants a better chance at the win than the Jags. I just think the run ends. If you think about their last 2 games, Mark, at home, it's a bit of a magic carpet ride. I mean, to win the showdown against Tennessee on a sack, fumble, scoop, and score, when you had 2 first downs the whole second half, I mean, that's when you know we got a little something going on here. And then obviously what took place Saturday night.
I'll just spin it the other way. When's the last time anybody stopped the Jags on a drive?
Well, that Tennessee team was stopping them a lot, but last 5 times they had the ball, they've scored. I'll say that.
That's right. And they gave it up themselves every other time before that.
That is something that, if you think about it, though, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, two quarterbacks who the last couple of games have been turning it over. They can't figure that you can't do it and get away with it this week. It's one thing to do it against Tennessee and the Chargers. It's another thing to do it against the Chiefs. It's another thing to do it against the Patriots and the Dolphins. Now it's the Bengals. Turnovers need to stop.
When we come back, we're going to talk about divas. David Moulton's favorite subject on this show.
Ooh, what wide receiver are we talking about?
But it's not a wide receiver in this case. This diva is more diva than any wide receiver out there.
Damn. I'm intrigued.
Miller and Moulton, and a diva on the other side. Thanks for listening, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. God dang it, that's funny. Oh, he's already been asleep once this show. Don't kid yourself. Did you watch the Daily Show video clip I sent you?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. That funny. That funny. I saw her, and I don't know why it was I saw this, but she was on a CBS morning show doing an interview about, and then, hey, I'm going to host it for a week or what have you. And
God dang.
Yep. Yeah, Philly's had to be woken up a couple times, I sense.
Yep. So this is nap time. 6 to 10, just when he catches up on his sleep.
I need the NBA to just take a night off.
No,
you take a night off. You don't have to stay up till 1 o'clock when you know you have to get up at 4:30 or 5 every morning. I shouldn't have to wake you up every other segment.
I didn't even go to sleep that late last night. That's the thing.
Patriots will host a game in Germany in 2023.
Okay. Well, that struck a lot of it also is, which teams have given up home games to play internationally. And like the Packers are one of the last teams that hadn't lost a home game to play internationally. And that's why this year they got sent overseas. But they got sent overseas the year the NFC got 9 home games. So,
It's Bills, Titans, Jags, Chiefs, and Patriots will each play international games. Bills are in London.
So no Bucks.
Well, it doesn't mean they couldn't play a road game.
True.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 21 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network, College Football Network. He will join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes. Roy Cummings at the top of the hour. And we'll head to Philly. Talk with Rob Ellis, WIP. Eagles, the 1 seed in the NFC. Are they that good? We'll talk to Rob about Philly coming up.
Adam Schefter tweeted out 16 minutes ago that the NFL has announced 5 teams set to play in 2023 international games. The Bills, the Titans, the Jags, the Chiefs, and the Patriots will each play international games during the 2023 regular season. I'm guessing, David, that they will host international games, if you know what I mean.
Bills, Titans, Chiefs, Jags, and who's the other one?
Patriots.
So they'll all play international games next year. I know there's not a Mexico game next year because Azteca Stadium is being renovated for the World Cup. And so I know they're not going to Mexico next year. I believe 2024 is the next time that they're going to play in Mexico.
The Bills are playing in London and the Patriots are playing in Germany, according to tweets from respective people covering those teams that I found during the break. In fact, the Patriots sent a release out that they're playing in Germany, and the Bills beat writer said they're playing in London. So we'll keep track of the international games. But I'm guessing that those are the home teams in those games.
And I would assume that as well for this reason. If you notice, they're all AFC teams, and this is the year that the AFC gets the 9 home games, and the NFC only gets 8. Just like this past year, the Packers, because there's 2 things that you get on lists for when you're a team in the NFL. One of them is Hard Knocks, and the other is to play international games. And the Packers, obviously, they did not want to give up a home game. Kept saying, please don't pick us. Please don't pick us. The Giants do that with Hard Knocks. The Giants are like, no, we really don't want any part of this. No. But because they'd been lousy for the last decade, they kept fitting the criteria. And basically, they, kept throwing in their chips and what have you, and they'd pick somebody else. Well, this year, the AFC, Bills, Titans, Chiefs, Jags, Patriots. So they'll still get 8 quote unquote home games, and then they'll get an international game.
So on Tuesday, Aaron Rodgers made his weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show.
Mm-hmm.
And said, I think I can win an MVP again in the right situation. Is that Green Bay or somewhere else? I'm not sure. But I don't think you should shut down any opportunity. He has perfected diva qualities. He makes receivers look like normal citizens. I mean, when he gets done talking, there's not much difference between the bus driver and the diva wide receiver anymore.
I don't think
you should shut down. I don't think you should shut down any opportunity. I mean, I'll kill them salary cap wise, and it'll affect them for the next couple of years. But I shouldn't have to suffer from any of those opportunities because this is only about me.
Well, at this stage of his career, it is. I mean, last year I took care of myself. I got paid. Boy, did I ever. And now it's kind of like, listen, if I'm going to keep playing this, it's only to win a Super Bowl. And I got to figure out whether or not we can do that here in Green Bay.
Wait, stop. What part of what I said Super Bowl? I think I can win MVP again. He didn't say I think I can win a Super Bowl again. He doesn't apparently care about the Super Bowl. What he cares about is winning an MVP.
Well, we don't know what the question was. I mean, maybe he was just asked about, how much do you have left, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, I still think I can win an MVP. I mean, it may not have been, there may have been other questions about, I think during that interview did say something to the effect of, listen, if the Packers say we're kind of in a reload situation, he goes, I'm out of here. You give Jordan the reins. I ain't going through that. So, it's pretty open. I will say he sounds like a guy. And Andrew Brandt, who spent 10 years with the Packers and was there for the whole Favre divorce, even Andrew Brandt is now saying this is beginning to remind me of the very end of Brett with Green Bay.
But it's interesting. He goes on McAfee and he's as transparent as he can be. But if you ask him about it in any other interviews, he gets upset about it.
Wait a minute. You mean athletes have their media favorites? What? Seriously? No. Come on now.
I'm glad that you like him, because if you didn't like Aaron, I would lose a little bit of respect for you, because this is, you have to admit that he is making diva wide receivers look less diva-ish.
Listen, I don't want to say that he's becoming a grade A diva, but J-Lo is elbowing Ben going, you catch a load at Aaron Rodgers on McAfee? That's all I'm saying. And I love me some J-Lo. And that may be the top of the diva pyramid right there.
That's interesting in and of itself.
It's tough to out diva J-Lo. And I love her. But that's Woo!
You're the most non-diva person. Your wife is the most non-diva person. Your daughter is the most non-diva. I mean, all three of you are. Simple in terms of your non-diva qualities. You don't need the larger things in life. You've never needed that, and yet for whatever reason, you can't get enough of them.
I'll tell you, it's just in my next life, I am going to be on the arm of a diva. Absolutely, I am taking on that challenge.
Felipe, you have a challenge to take on. It's called our Clutch Vodka Play of the Day. That's Clutch with a K. Felipe, what do we have today?
Well, we talked about it earlier on the show. The greatest Tampa Bay Lightning of all time, Steven Stamkos, scored his 500th goal last night. Here's the call, Tampa Bay Lightning Radio Network.
Back for Killorn in the left wing and against Cirelli. Anthony Cirelli across the blue line. Left circle Killorn as Stamkos open in front for Stamkos. Score! There it is! Number 500! Steven Stamkos! He has done it! The Lightning players storm off the bench to congratulate Steven Stamkos. Steven Stamkos, 500 goals.
Lightning Radio Network.
Michigan.
Dave Mishkin with the call and the scream.
That's a Michigan.
He can let it rip.
Yes, he can. And Lightning fans love it.
That's our Clutch Vodka Play of the Day. Clutch Vodka, Clutch with the K. Check them out online at clutchspirits.com. Hashtag into your drinks on social media with the hashtag Clutch Spirits.
Can't believe people coming after me about my love for J-Lo. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, come on. How could you think I'm not a J-Lo fan? I love diva wide receivers. Are you serious? You know, I started with Madonna. I went to J-Lo. One generation, the next. That's how it rolls.
You were at Super Bowl LIV as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't blame you.
And if that's my only Super Bowl, it's okay. You know, my first Super Bowl, Michael was the halftime performance. I mean, you know, I do divas. They're there, I'm there.
Miller and Moulton. Apparently, we have a diva wannabe in our midst. That's how I would describe it.
Just a fan. Just a fan.
We're fans of Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network. He will join us next to get into the divisional round in depth. Coming up.
Not a diva.
Not even close.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I still find it funny how people really try to criticize the NFL for putting on that halftime show. Like it wasn't one of the best halftime shows ever.
What one are you talking about?
J-Lo and Shakira in Miami for the Chiefs-Niners Super Bowl.
Kentucky on the next 4 out list. Not even the first 4 out list right now on Bracket Wag.
Kentucky's
out.
Yeah.
There's
okay with that.
there's 6 teams ahead of them, according to Shelby.
Well, T.O.'s not just a diva. I mean, T.O.'s got some bipolar type behavior. I mean, but I would have given T.O. I would have been an enabler. I would have given him second and third chances. That performance in the Super Bowl was amazing. He's the best player on the field. 6 weeks after a broken leg.
I was about to say the one where his leg was partially broken.
I guess Jake was telling me that Georgia kid, there was like a convoy of cars going to the Waffle House. He had teammates in front of him, behind him when that happened. No, not Trevor. I'm talking about the kid that died. They were doing the same thing. They were going to the Waffle House. And like teammates saw the crash and all that.
Apparently she was driving too fast.
Yeah.
Oh. One minute.
I can't imagine Usain Bolt ever had that much wealth. Morning.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Good.
What's that hat?
It's a new one just for you guys. You told me last week you got a new hat.
Is that a
no?
pro?
It's a DeMarini hat, the baseball brand.
All right.
10 seconds. Great base, great bats.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Roy Cummings, as we put the Bucs season to bed and look ahead at the top of the hour. 1 hour from now, we head to Philly. Rob Ellis, 94 WIP, to talk Eagles and just how much of a challenge they expect from the G-men on Saturday night. Matt Cannata is kind enough to join us once again, not just profootballnetwork.com, but collegefootballnetwork.com, PFN 365 on Twitter, CFN 365 on Twitter. You can follow Matt on Twitter, Cannata 2Ns1T, Cannata PFN, Cannata PFN. Matt, you wrote a story earlier in the week. The one thing the Dolphins must do for next season is...
Yep. Protect Tua Tagovailoa and figure that whole thing out. And also, along with that, the QB position as a whole, right, of communication and not self-sabotaging like they did versus the Bills. The communication, the getting the play calls in, ensuring that you have, the right kind of QBs in the room and the backup quarterbacks who can actually play the game, and you're not relying on your third string QB to get you to the divisional round. But Mike McDaniel is a rookie coach, and you're going to make rookie mistakes. But this has been something that has been percolating all season long, and it finally caught up to them in a really bad way on Sunday versus was it Sunday? Sunday versus the Bills. And if you were watching the game, you saw almost every play. By the time they broke the huddle, the play clock was down to 8 seconds, right? And maybe the casual fan says that's okay because they still have 8 seconds to snap the ball. But, remember what has to happen at the line of scrimmage. The QB has to read the defense of the look that they're in. The linemen have to make the calls on the line to shift any blocking, protection, and whatnot. From there, the QB can make adjustments. Probably not in Skylar's case because he's a third-string QB, but most starting QBs can make those adjustments. And if he wasn't making those adjustments, it gives time for the coaches to take a look at the defense and yell from the sideline to audible out or to change it to something else. And so that was a big reason, I believe, that the Dolphins lost on Sunday, was because their inability to get play calls in on time and in a way that was going to allow the offense to see the field before the ball was actually snapped.
How much confidence have, Matt, in that McDaniel can get better at this? I mean, there are some coaches who have struggled with clock management, and that was all. There are certain guys we can all point to, clock management or play calling or whatever the case may be. Some are great coordinators and can't get it in. It looks like he really relates to the players and they play hard for him. But does he have to give up play calling, or does he just have to get better at play calling?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? Like you said, there are still coaches who aren't great at it, right? Andy Reid, for how long, has been said to not been a great time management guy. But I was reading something about Nick Sirianni, of how he delegates a lot of things, right? And that includes play calling and how he learned to do that, and how he's a much better coach and much better in the moment coach because of that. I think Mike McDaniel should give up play calling. I don't ever really believe in head coaches calling plays consistently throughout the entire game. They're a head coach, right? They're not a play caller anymore. And I understand that McDaniel is the offensive guru out there, but they have to focus on the entire moment, and it caught up to Mike McDaniel in a bad way. And I'm sure he may try to go into this season coming up in 2023 as the play caller, but if things don't improve, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get pressure from Chris Greer in the top of it's time to give a play calling. One other anecdote on that, I did think it was interesting that Darrell Bevell, the QB coach, turned down several interviews, and so far to come back to Miami. Maybe he's waiting for something else, but I do wonder if there is something there happening where Darrell Bevell may be promoted to the offensive coordinator and the play caller. That is something to monitor. It's just pure speculation on my point, but I did find it interesting that he would turn down those opportunities to interview for those OC jobs.
Yeah, I would say probably one of the three biggest surprises so far of the coaching carousel, at least the assistant coaching carousel, that and the Lions OC taking himself out of the running for any head coaching jobs, when, Matt, it looked like the skids were being greased, that he was Carolina's guy. I mean, it is a head coaching job. It's a very soft division. They've got a roster with potential, cap situation with potential. And he said, no, I'm going to stay in Detroit. I mean, it's been a hell of a 2 months for the Lions, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty much the worst kept secret in the league that Ben Johnson was going to be the next Panthers head coach. So much so that D'Amico Ryans and Jared Mayo, Jared Mayo declined for other reasons too, but they declined those interviews because they knew what the outcome would be in Carolina. And so for Ben Johnson to flip like that when he was on track to become the next head coach of the Panthers, we're hearing that a lot has to do with David Tepper and the ownership group. And when you can't get out of your own way, coaches aren't going to want to come there, even coaches who may be getting their first opportunity.
That tells you how much Sean Payton didn't want that job. I mean, we've talked about it on this show for a long time. Pat Kerwin, who comes on all the time, says coaches, the big-time coaches interview owners, not the other way around. And you're actually speculating that here's an assistant coach that's interviewing an owner and not doing it.
I think assistant coaches are getting smarter these days, right? I mean, you see the impatience of so many owners around the league. And, why would they walk into a bad situation? Because you get fired your first time, you have to go back to the coordinator route, and then you have to build yourself back up. So it's important for these coaches to get into the right situation for themselves, for their family, and everyone else involved that they bring along with them.
What are you most concerned about when you look at Buffalo and Cincinnati? Are you most concerned with Cincinnati's offensive line that's depleted, or do the turnovers that Allen's had the past few weeks bother you more?
Yeah, Allen's been a little interesting, and I know there's been some talk about Ken Dorsey's play calling and abandoning the run too early. The Bills don't have a running game anyways. I'd be more concerned about the Bills' offense because I think when you're able to shut down Stephon Diggs, right? You have Dawson Knox, but you can't rely on a tight end to win the game. And so if you can double up Stephon or take him out of the game, then you have a really good chance of winning this football game. And so for me, as dynamite as the Bills' offense is, the Bengals defense can be just as good. And if they're able to shut down Stephon Diggs, then I don't see a path for the Bills to win this game because they're just so one-dimensional.
It's interesting. Gabe Davis has not been the same player since about midway through the season. He looks like he was becoming a burgeoning star. And then now all of a sudden it seems as if the Bills are back to where they were a couple of years ago, where it's Diggs and who is it that we can turn to? I'm wondering, Matt, is this the week also where it seems like for a couple of weeks they've tried to get away from Josh being the primary ball carrier? I wonder if now they're at the point of the season in which they go, we potentially have 3 games left. If he's standing, we're going to let him run the ball again.
I don't see why the Bills should try to force something that they know really doesn't work, right? I mean, Devil Singletary is Devin Singletary, and then you have your other guys there too. But let Josh Allen run. It's the playoffs, and you've gotten to this point thus far by letting Josh Allen run. And to take that away, it reminds me of almost like coaches or fans or media pundits saying, "Well, Lamar Jackson shouldn't run. It's part of his game." Right? If you put him in the pocket, he doesn't become the same QB that he got him there. And so for me, if I'm the Bills, I'm keeping Josh Allen the same way we've been using him all season long, running around, scrambling, making plays out of nothing, standing in the pocket tall, and delivering the ball. You have to keep him dynamic, otherwise the Bengals are just going to shut him down.
Saturday's game, 7.5 and 8.5 point spreads. Who do you give the better shot of pulling off the big upset, the Jags or the Giants?
Oh, that's a tough one. I really like the Giants, even though I probably wouldn't have said that several weeks ago. But I think they're clicking at the right time. It's actually funny. I was telling someone yesterday on staff. It reminds me of when the Giants snuck into the playoffs as a wild card. I think it was 9-7, ended up winning the whole thing, right? I forget what year it was. But the Giants kind of remind me of that this season. They snuck into the playoffs in a way. They're heating up at just the right time. Their offense is starting to click. Daniel Jones has figured it out, surprisingly. Saquon's running hard. I would not be surprised, especially with Jalen Hurts, for not playing as long as he did and now coming back into this thing after a week off, might be a little rust there. And if the Giants can get ahead quickly and get up early, I think they have an excellent chance of pulling off this win.
Yeah, that was the 2011 Giants. They did sneak in at 9-7. Believe it or not, I think they won the division by winning a final week of the season showdown with the Cowboys. But yeah, and that was the last team that had won a playoff game before this year's team. But Matt, I'm a Giants fan. I got to tell you, I mean, this is still a bottom 10 roster in the league. I mean, it really is. I just think that the Eagles roster is a top 5 roster and the Giants roster is a bottom 10 roster. At some point, doesn't that talent difference get exposed?
Yeah, I mean, usually in the playoffs, right? And,
yeah.
But I got to tell you guys, I don't love the Eagles because sure they have a top 5 talent, but look what the past few weeks, right? They went on that little skid there. The Colts nearly beat them, and they should have beat them if it wasn't for, I believe, a penalty or a missed field goal. I just don't see the Eagles having the ammo to come out and firing on all cylinders when they've been on this little skid and then a little victory and then kind of a week off here. And I just feel like the Giants are clicking. They're coming off a huge win against the Vikings, the 3 seed. I'm a Giants guy this weekend. I got to tell you, I'm a Giants guy.
Wow.
What about Cowboys and 49ers? Dak played arguably, he played maybe the best game of his career. He was spectacular.
Yeah.
If he can give them 80% of that, I think we get a hell of a football game. Dak can be inconsistent. He can turn the ball over. He's got to play a clean game. What do you expect out of Dak? Because I think as Dak goes, the Cowboys go.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good game. Let's just hope Brett Maher doesn't miss 4 field goals again, right? And let's hope the game doesn't come down to that. Dak it was just basically, when you think of a guy who just doesn't miss in basketball, Dak was that throughout at least the first half and throughout most of the game, but definitely the first half against the Buccaneers, right? And, if they're going to beat the 49ers, they're going to have to replicate that for the most part. I think that can still afford to make a few mistakes. But they're going to have to rely on Dak again because I think their running game is a little suspect with Zeke. The questions about him, but you mix in Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott. What I'm really interested to see, though, is Dan Quinn, right? Can Dan Quinn, I don't know if I said it last week, but can Dan Quinn force Brock Purdy to play quarterback? Because Brock Purdy plays a lot of point guard and doesn't necessarily play quarterback the position fully in a sense, if that makes sense. But if Dan Quinn can keep Brock Purdy in the pocket, can shut down the short routes, the intermediate routes, Brock Purdy is going to be forced to do things that he's never done or seen pretty much most of the season. That's the matchup I'm looking forward to the most here.
Matt, we got a couple minutes left. The head coaching vacancy that gets filled first will be
the head coach vacancy. So the Cardinals are probably going to reset after the general manager hire. The Panthers were set to hire Ben Johnson. They got to rethink it. Texans, I think, are going to be Jonathan Gannon. He was nearly the guy last year. Broncos seem to be closing in on Sean Payton. I would probably then you have the Colts. They're a mess. Texans or Broncos. I think it's going to be the Texans. Those I think Jonathan Gannon's their guy.
Okay. Matt Cannata, ProFootballNetwork.com, collegefootballnetwork.com. So that's PFN365 on Twitter, CFN365 on Twitter. You can follow Matt on Twitter, Cannata, 2 N's, 1 T, Cannata PFN, Cannata PFN. Matt, always appreciative of your time, continued success with your 2 enterprises, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, guys, take care.
Matt Cannata, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton.
Look at that, picking the G-men.
Wow. I think he needs a strong cup of coffee, maybe even a nap. But whew, boy, that's nuts.
He did get me fired up about Cowboys-Niners because there's so many different elements to that game that I think are worth keying in on. He talked about the defense for Dallas, and I know that's the game, but I want to see if Dak can play 2 good games in a row.
Want to see if the Cowboys' offensive line can hold up. Niners can rush the passer a lot better than the Bucs. Then again, Niners play a lot of zone. Cowboys have weapons. In theory, there should be open receivers. I mean, there really should. The Niners have one side of their defense. They got a weak corner. I mean, they can be picked on in the passing game.
CeeDee Lamb had like 6 targets. He's got to get more targets than that.
I'm with you. Problem was they crushed the Bucs with their tight ends. I mean, their production at the tight end position, they were averaging like 16 yards a catch. They had 7-8 catches as tight ends. It might be able to do the same thing against the Niners. Once again, play a lot of zone.
Miller and Moulton. Great 8 o'clock hour coming up. Roy Cummings to talk some Bucks. Rob Ellis to talk some Eagles. All ahead right here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening to Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686 or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Here he is. Good morning, Roy.
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Morning.
Good morning, my man. How are you?
I am good.
Glad to hear it.
I'm good. By the way, Todd Bowles keeping his angst about Ryan Suckup inside for all these months. My God. Man, he's a kicker, dude.
Yeah, really.
Didn't cost you a single game. You got a lot else wrong with that empire you're running there. You just lash out at Ryan Suckup.
That's the guy you're picking on?
I know.
My, oh my. Have you looked at your left guard?
I mean, I'm thinking to myself, God, he's been
your left tackle.
Or your left tackle. Yeah.
Most reliable kicker since Grammatica. What the hell?
Yeah, we can pick out a lot of guys.
I know.
Your left guard, your left tackle, your offensive coordinator.
How about Joe Tryon, who's like MIA?
Yeah. Boy, no kidding.
That pick didn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah, boy, oh boy. I don't know, man. This organization.
You're going to have a lot of fun the next 6 months. And by a lot of fun, I mean none at all.
There is one tremendous solution to it all.
Re-sign Tom Brady.
That's part of it. In order to get him, you got to get somebody else.
Okay.
That's not going to happen.
Okay.
But it's the only way to save this thing.
All right. We'll save this.
I like it.
For when we're rolling here.
For when the lights are on.
Right.
Yeah.
I would tear it down, Roy, by the way. I mean, you missed us earlier in the week. Mark's plan A is, you beg Brady and you keep going for it with him. I would tear it down.
Here we go.
But that's where we're at.
We'll discuss.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the 8 o'clock hour of Miller and Moulton. And on Thursdays, that means we start with Roy Cummings. Bay News 9, pewterpirates.com. Follow Roy on Twitter, rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. All right. Miller and Moulton divided on where the Bucs go from here or where they should go from here. All right. Well, they're going to go without Ryan Suckup. We found that out this week. Otherwise, everything else is seemingly up in the air. Roy, what do the Bucs need to do?
They need to go out and somehow swing a deal for Sean Payton, because this team is right there on the cusp. If they get some guys back healthy, if they get a Ryan Jensen for a full season, Luke Gedeke gets a little bit better, they find a legitimate right guard who's not well past his prime or too much past his prime, get a little bit better play out of the tackles, get an offensive coordinator who's got a little jam in him, willing to take some chances, and a line that can protect Tom Brady. You can keep Tom Brady, and you can turn this thing back into a championship caliber team. It is not right now. I don't think it will be under Todd Bowles. I know it won't be with Byron Leftwich at offensive coordinator. But if you can somehow get Sean Payton, who's out there kicking the tires on football teams, looking to be a coach again possibly, if you can swing a deal for him, he will bring Tom Brady back into the fold for at least another year or two. And I still think Tom Brady's got plenty left in him, guys. I know it sounds crazy, but look, he's out there. You kind of jam it to the Saints if you can swing the deal for him. That may not happen because the Saints may not allow it to happen. But look, the Bucs have done things like this before. They got John Gruden in a trade. They're not afraid to give up first-round draft picks because, as Joe Tryon-Shoyinka showed us this year, 23rd overall picks and 32nd overall picks don't get you much. So I think you've got to throw it all into trying to get Sean Payton here. He's the best available coach, and he'll bring back Tom Brady, and he will bring back a lot of respect, and I will believe he will bring back a championship in some form or fashion, not the tainted championship that they have in the NFC South this year, a real championship.
Okay. Percentage-wise, is this Roy? Is this you? Obviously this is your opinion, but do you think there's any merit there? Do you think is this a 1 in 10 chance? I mean, what are the chances of something like this actually happening?
Well, I think Sean Payton's going to end up somewhere. So there's a deal out there to be made for Sean Payton. I think that can happen. I think it will happen. As I said, he's kicking the tires on a lot of teams. I think that Tom Brady is going to go wherever Sean Payton goes. There's talk that he might go to Carolina. There's talk he might go to Denver. If he's in Denver or Carolina, why wouldn't you bring in Tom Brady? The quarterback play there has been, substandard. Certainly it has been this year, even in Denver. But I think you can move the quarterback there again. I think he's going to go where Tom Brady, I think is going to go where Sean Payton goes, because a year ago, Tom Brady wanted to go where Sean Payton was going. They'd probably both be in Miami now if Miami hadn't messed that up. I still think that's going to happen. I think it's maybe the only way that Tom Brady continues to play. And look, as I said, the Bucs have done this before. I mean, they threw all caution to the wind and said, we don't care what it takes. We want John Gruden. If it's going to be a couple of number 1 draft picks, we'll do it. Keyshawn Johnson, we're bringing him in. We don't care about the draft picks. We want to win a Super Bowl now. And I think it can be done again, because you're not going to win at that level with the guys you've got now.
All right, very quickly. Gruden was 2-1s. So, and you would think if New Orleans is going to do this in the division, they would have to go to number 1. So you're giving up the 19th overall pick this year, and you're going to give up your first round pick next year, minimum. It may even take an extra second round pick thrown in.
Yep.
You're saying you're willing to give it up for Sean Payton and 1 to 2 more years of Brady.
Absolutely, because you look at this team now, the way it's built, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. If Ryan Jensen comes back and plays a full season next year and he's healthy, I think they're far more solid than they were. If you get yourself a tight end that can help the tackles, maybe not leave Donovan Smith out there on an island by himself all season long. Luke Gedeke should be better. I think the line will play better. You get a coordinator in here like Sean Payton, who's going to be able to figure out how to use the running game and not just abandon it every first quarter. A lot more can be done with this team. There is talent here, lots of talent at the skill positions. You still got an incredibly exceptional Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Julio Jones can still be an impact player for you. There's lots of impact players on this team on the offensive side of the ball, lots of impact players on the defensive side of the ball. This team can still win. Do they need a pass rusher or two? Yeah. Get Shaq Barrett back, that helps. Get a legitimate defensive end in here. Yeah, things have to be done, but it starts at the top. Todd Bowles is not the head coach to carry this team to a championship. I believe that. Byron Leftwich is certainly not the coordinator to get you the best you can get out of this offensive attack, and they've got to make moves to change that up.
If they don't get Brady back, is it a teardown in your estimation, or is it go get Jimmy G, go get Derek Carr, because it is the NFC South and it's a very winnable division no matter what happens for next year? Talent across division is not that good.
Yeah, right. No, you think about Jimmy G and Derek Carr, but think about those guys behind that line. It's not going to be much different. They're a little bit more, obviously Garoppolo is far more mobile. Carr not as much, but still they'll get outside of the pocket. But still, you don't want those guys scrambling for their lives. There's no sense in doing that. Yes, in my opinion, it is. It's a teardown. And because who are you going to be starting at quarterback? I mean, I would much rather put all my effort into getting Sean Payton and signing him up for the next 7 or 8 years as your head coach, or as long as he wants to be here. Go another couple of years with Brady and somehow find the quarterback of the future over the course of the next couple of years. To me, I think that's the best thing you can do. Again, this team is still in a position to be a championship football team. It can win at a high level, very high level, but you've got to get the right people in at the top, and right now they don't have it.
Roy Cummings calling for Sean Payton and a return of Brady for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Let's assume that's not happening. Quite frankly, how come Leftwich hasn't been fired yet? And I'm being very serious. Okay. I mean, a lot of times, coaches get fired 12 hours after a season ends, sometimes 4 hours after a season ends. If the word is that Bowles is frustrated, he didn't really get to pick his staff. Okay. And, there's already reports that Leftwich isn't coming back. Well, then, quite frankly, why hasn't he already not been replaced? What do you think Todd's going to do at that position?
Yeah, well, the dynamics changed a little bit in the front office, obviously, with Bruce Arians still in a position to, have a lot of say in how this team is built. My guess is there's probably a little bit of head knocking going on where some people want to get rid of Byron Leftwich and maybe even Todd Bowles, and Bruce Arians is saying, "Wait, you put me in this position to basically kind of orchestrate how we build this football team. I still believe in these two guys, and he should. Those are his guys. Let's not forget that. Those are his guys." And he still thinks that they're both head coaches. I'm not so sure he's right about that, but he believes strongly in his staff, very strongly in his staff. And I think there's just a lot of internal negotiations and discussions going on as to, where are we headed here? What's the best thing we can do? Is Todd Bowles really the best coach for us? Can we get someone else? If we can get someone else, who's better? Now, I'll say this. If you can't get Sean Payton, I'm not sure there's another head coach out there that I'm getting. I'd rather give Todd Bowles another year and see if he can somehow figure this out. I don't really think Todd Bowles is a legitimate head coach. I don't think he's the guy to carry this team. I think he's lacking something in terms of being able to bring an entire team together. Look, when you don't have a relationship with your quarterback, that's a problem right off the hop. But he's a tremendous defensive coordinator. The defense, had times this year where it looked really, really good. It was very strong most of the season. Just couldn't take the ball away, which is really not on the head coach. But at the end of the day, if you're going to keep him, it'd probably be better to keep him if you can't get the head coach you want. But if you think you can get that head coach, then I'd clean house and move them all. But Byron Leftwich, in my opinion, yes, absolutely has to go. But I think there's some pushback from Bruce Arians right now saying, "Hey, that's my guy. You gave him you're basing this on 1 year without an offensive line." And until we see what he can do with that, we can't judge him.
Now, I know that Bowles and Arians are obviously close. He got the job that way, but it sounds to me, Roy, that this push is coming from Arians. If that's the case, can Arians still? Do they have to move him out? If it's going to be Bowles' team, if all things are equal, in what you said, all right, they can't get Sean Payton. It's going to be Bowles for another year. Sounds to me like Bruce Arians has got to move out of the front office because it seems to be butting heads and it's not working.
Yeah, that may be the case. And that's why I think there's probably a lot of discussion going on at the highest level with the Glazer boys and with Darcy Glazer as well. Probably trying to figure out, okay, where do we go with this? It didn't work out. Bruce Arians is probably ready to step aside anyway. Wouldn't be surprised if that's part of this negotiation, that he's going to just plain step aside and let Jason Light and the Glazers decide what to do with this team. I don't think that's a smart idea. I think the Bucs would benefit greatly from Bruce Arians sticking around. I thought for years they should have tried to bring in somebody like Tony Dungy to help him on the football side. Jason Light can certainly do that. I trust Jason Light. Not everybody does, but I believe in him. But at the end of the day, again, it's, to me, if you can't get Sean Payton, you may as well keep Todd Bowles and see what happens. But still, maybe the push is that they want Todd Bowles to move Byron Leftwich, and just like Bruce Arians, maybe he doesn't want to move Byron Leftwich. Maybe he believes in him as much as Bruce Arians does. After this year, I don't know why, but you can certainly understand that would be there'd be some pushback from Todd Bowles on that as well.
Roy, about 30 seconds. I see Fournette, Rudolph, Brait, Julio Jones, maybe even Donovan Smith. I see them all not back next year. Yes,
yeah, I think that's all possible. That's very possible. A couple of those guys I would bring back. I'm keeping Cameron Brate until I've got someone that's significantly better. Right now, he's still the best tight end you have. Julio Jones, I think, is still a weapon. Left tackle is a tough position, guys. You know what? You don't like Donovan Smith until you see what the other option looks like. And again, you can't always leave that left tackle out there on an edge by himself. You just can't. He's going to get beat. It's going to happen. He took holding calls instead of letting his quarterback get hit. So Tom Brady probably owes him a Porsche.
Roy Cummings, Bay News 9, pewterpirates.com. Follow him on Twitter, rcummings, FHCN. Roy, we will check in throughout the offseason because it's going to be very newsy. All the best, Roy.
All the best to you guys. Thanks for having me, guys.
Roy Cummings, once again, here on Miller and Moulton. We'll react to some of what Roy had to say. Rob Ellis, WIP in Philly in 25 minutes.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686, or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Think bars. I had 2 of them.
Thinking
At a lunch meet. So I have to go to the grocery store today. They're tolerable. They're not awful by any stretch. They're not good, but they're tolerable.
My wife went with not Gordon Ramsay. What's his name? Robert, the British guy. His bars. She likes those.
Okay.
For what it's worth.
These have no sugar, so that's why I eat them.
They're tasty then, huh?
They're tolerable. They are. Put it this way. You know how when you first tried diet soda and you're like, oh, I don't know if I get used to this. These bars are better than that.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Rob Ellis, 94 WIP in Philadelphia. He also does a show on a YouTube channel. He's a busy guy. He's fitting us into his schedule in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Eagles hosting the Giants Saturday night. Matt Cannata last hour, liking the Giants. Whew. That's out there. That is out there. I mean, that's almost like picking the Jags to win in Kansas City. Man.
I don't even know if I have the guts to take the points in either of those games.
I will say I think the Giants are intriguing if you can get it above 7. All right. The half, I think, looms in the Giants-Eagles game. I could see 27-20. Something like that.
Yeah, and I could see 34-10 too.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it was that bad, but I would be shocked if they won. Oh, my goodness. Shocked. So,
but it all boils down to Hurts and how effective is he going to be? How banged up is he? They didn't have much of a problem the last time, but they played a B team. So we really have no idea going into this game what to expect.
How about what Roy Cummings said last segment? He's backing up the Brinks truck. He's cleaning house. He's giving up 2 first-round picks. He's bringing in Sean Payton, who's going to keep the old man for another 2 years, and let's go. Or as Tom likes to say, LFG.
I love Roy's passion. Sean Payton's not coming to the Bucs.
What do you think is the biggest obstacle to it? That A, Sean Payton's not interested. B, the Saints wouldn't do the deal with the Bucs no matter what they offered.
Yes.
Okay.
If you could get true serum to Sean Payton right now and say, do you think you can still win with Brady? I wonder if he thinks that he could. Brady didn't want to get hit. Brady didn't want to get touched.
Well, in Sean Payton's offense, you very rarely get hit or touched. I mean, Breeze was sacked the fewest number of times the last 3-4 years he played in the league. Now, I'll say this. He played behind a good offensive line. My understanding is Sean's going to go where he's getting paid. Okay. Sean wants to be the highest paid guy. Wants to make more than Belichick. Belichick makes reportedly 17. All right. So now I'll say this. I mean, the Glazers got the money, for goodness sakes. I mean, their soccer team's worth more than their football team. So they got the money.
But the kids, the old man was the one that made the splashes. The old man traded for Gruden. This wasn't the ones that are running the team now.
Right. And the other part of this,
they've not shown that they go out and make trades like this, make moves like this.
And the other part of this is that you're completely blowing it up because Arians is there, and Arians is Bowles is the head coach because of Arians. Leftwich is the offense coordinator because of Arians. Bowles is probably having to go through Arians to get rid of Leftwich. I mean, Jason Light's looking involved in a power struggle right now.
The other side of this is that, and I don't think it matters to Peyton if he wants to get paid. The Bucs have some serious decisions to make this offseason. Not just Brady. They're up against the cap all over the place, which I believe is why you have been such a proponent of trying to tear this thing down.
Yes. It's also why, and I understand right now you don't have anybody to replace Donovan Smith, but I got to get his money off the books. I'm sorry. I got issues. I've got issues, and I need as much money as possible to fix them. I only got one pass rusher, and he's coming back from a blown Achilles. I'm going to lose a couple members of my secondary. Levante David has about as many good years left in him as Brady. And he's an instrumental part of our defense. Now, after I get rid of the left tackle, I have the entire left side of the offensive line I have to replace. And quite frankly, I may only have Rashard White back at running back because I think I'm letting everybody else go also. And I understand I don't have anybody to replace Cameron Brate, but I don't know. It just didn't work as well as it should have with Cam Brate. And I don't know if that's on Brady or that's on Brate. I will say this Cade Otton guy replaced Cameron Brate in the last quarter of the season as the starting tight end. So that's why, Mark, I'm inclined to get rid of Smith, Brate, Fournette, Julio Jones. All right.
I was stunned when Roy said, about Julio. Julio did nothing for me. You can't bring that back.
I mean,
he did nothing.
I think Roy's going off made a nice catch down the sideline for the touchdown, and still thinks he can be a number. And if you think about it, Mark, he should be their number 4 receiver.
Right.
So
I'm good bringing him back as the 4th receiver. I think I can do better for cheaper.
Well, that's the other thing. The Bucs are going to have to make some hard decisions and look at some guys and go veteran minimum. Just so you know, veteran minimum. Otherwise, we wish you the best. It's why, by the way, I'm inclined to, if I can't go all in, to do the big pullback. And to me, the Eagles are the gold standard. Now, the Eagles have made tremendous personnel decisions for 3 straight years. Very few misses the Eagles have had for 3 years now in personnel decisions. And it's how literally they were able to retool a Super Bowl champion that was fading, 1 below 500 season. 1. And then they followed it up with 9-8 sneak into the playoffs and the 1 seed.
It's why, by the way, you look at what Seattle did this year and the number of rookies and second-year players that played on that roster, what they have in the draft coming up with like 5 picks in the first 100, if not even less than that, because of the fleecing they did of Denver.
6 rookies. Sorry, Mark. 6 rookies started in that playoff game against the Niners. 6!
So San Francisco, you're on top of that division, but Seattle's coming. And they're coming hard.
Well, same in Detroit. Lions looking up at the Vikings going, enjoy it. Just enjoy 2022. Because we are coming in 2023, Green Bay, Minnesota. We are coming. So that's why I would tear it down. I really would. I think they have a better chance of retooling on the fly than they do of pushing all their chips in for one more attempt at glory.
Who's your quarterback?
I don't know.
Because no matter what the rebuild is, at some point you have to find that player.
Well, if you remember, for a year, the Eagles went through, Seattle turned to Geno. Does Tampa turn to Gabbert / Trask for a transition year and say, let's see what the hell you got?
The Lions turned to Goff, and it looks like they may have found something in him.
I mean, wouldn't Blaine Gabbert's story be Geno Smith all over again? Geno was the second-round pick, okay, and Gabbert was the first. But, I mean, Blaine, let's see if you have a second act. And if not, that's okay. That ain't going to sell season tickets, by the way.
Wow.
At all.
That'll get the media to love it. Blaine Gabbert, we think he's the next Geno Smith. Miller and Moulton. We will switch gears and talk some Philadelphia Eagles next with Rob Ellis. He joins us on Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686 or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oi.
David, I have not watched it, but that same place that I sent you the message from, there's a 2-minute and 57-second segment that she just did on George Santos. I don't know about 40, but they'll be in the 30s. I think the Jags defense is decent. I don't think they can put a 40 burger on him. But if Trevor's going to turn it over 2-3 times, then you're on to something. Speaking of burgers, could that Fat Cat's over across the street next to Mellow Mushroom open, for crying out loud? All set?
Rob Ellis is on hold. We're back in 10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Rob Ellis, kind enough to join us once again. He does two things every day. He co-hosts Sports Take noon to 3 on the Jacob Sports YouTube channel. Don't know if anyone covers sports better than Jacob Sports. But if someone does, it's 94 WIP, and he does the show there. You can follow Rob on Twitter, RLS Sports. RLS Sports. Rob, it's David and Mark. It's been a little bit. How are you?
Fellas, I'm available to sweep up the floors, too. Whatever you need, I'm here. All right? Just give me a call. Give me a little notice. I'll get out there. I have unbelievable skill. Trust me.
Mark, it sounds like late mornings. He's just, he's needing something in between this and noon, I guess. But
Yeah, there's some time. You got to utilize your time, guys. You know that.
that is true.
Rob, where is an area what is the biggest area of concern for the Giants? Because obviously it's a big spread. This is a game the Eagles are supposed to win. Outside of just being fearful of losing, where is the area that you think the Giants may have an advantage over the Eagles?
I would say if you look head-to-head running back, Saquon, for sure, and I think he's healthy. He wasn't healthy. When they played both times this year, you throw the last game out, it was nonsense. Giants didn't play anybody. The Eagles were kind of half playing. But the game that counted, I don't think Saquon was right when the Eagles beat him 48-22 in Week 14. I would say that's an advantage. Not that Miles Sanders is anything to sneeze at. He's not. But I would say that's an advantage. It's interesting. The Giants' defensive line, although they're not a team that's going to get a lot of sacks, I think is very effective, and I think Wink Martindale really utilizes his guys well. But I don't know if I would call that an advantage. Yeah, and look, if you look at it on paper, there's a lot of advantages to the Eagles. But you know what? That's been the Giants all season. They've been the team that's sort of been looked at and said, well, they don't have much talent. How are they going to win? Well, here they are playing in the divisional round. So I think it's certainly on paper. There's a reason why the Eagles are 7.5-point favorites in Vegas. It would appear to be an Eagles game for sure. But that's a dangerous way to look at it. And I don't think the Eagles are looking at it, from that perspective.
Rob, we all know this time of year, most everybody's banged up. But it seems as if the Eagles have guys who are going to try to play injured, if you know what I mean. It seems as if the quarterback's throwing shoulder is injured. Lane Johnson, that's an injury. It seems as if the Eagles have some key injuries, not banged up, but injuries. And I just wonder, are the Giants catching them maybe at the right time?
It's a fair question. The only real starter, the guy you would call a starter really the entire year, they're going to be absolutely missing is Avonte Maddox, who is a really good slot corner. He's not going to be playing. But you're right. I mean, you have Jalen and you have Lane Johnson. I will tell you, the injury I worry more about when it really comes down to those two is Lane Johnson. I mean, you're talking about a torn adductor when you're trying to deal with, 275, 80 behemoth athletic, defensive lineman. I just wonder how long that holds up. Like, does he start the game? Does he finish the game? Is he able to finish this game if they win and play in an NFC Championship game, play in a Super Bowl if they can win those games? That's the one I worry about. With Jalen, I think the shoulder's in pretty decent shape. You never quite know. I mean, they're never as transparent as you would like with things, and I get it. I understand why. I think he's in pretty good shape from what I'm hearing in terms of making all the throws. The only X factor you really can't account for is he's going to be a guy who's running the ball. And if he gets slammed down like he did when he originally hurt the thing in Chicago, so that hard turf, and it's not going to be super cold in Philadelphia, but if that ends up happening, you just wonder what it ends up being.
How much do you think early on Philly will game plan differently and try to keep him from running the ball? I mean, you think they're going to try to simplify this and think they can get away with beating the Giants without having to Jalen run, or is this a normal Philadelphia game where he's a big part of the offense, not just for throwing, but obviously running the ball as well?
I think you have to unleash everything. I mean, this is the playoffs. You can't do it the way you did it in the last regular season game and try and have it. You have it, you're going to lose. So he's all in as far as I'm concerned. In fact, you know what I would do on the very first offensive play? I would actually run, I would have a designed run for Jalen Hurts. And just to show everybody he's good to go, show him he's good to go, show the offensive line he's good to go, and tell the Giants this is what you're in for.
Talking with Rob Ellis, WIP in Philly. Follow him on Twitter, RLS Sports, RLS Sports. Listen, the Eagles midway through the season, even 2/3 of the way through the season, I think you could argue, Rob, they look like the best team in the league. Don't think they finished playing their A football. If you agree with that statement, why did they finish not playing the way they were playing in the middle of the season?
I would agree with that. I think you really started to see it a little bit even before Jalen Hurts went down with the injury. They kind of survived in Chicago. Chicago's a bad team. They survived. I think a couple things. One, some of it had to do with play calling. They sort of got away from the run. In terms of feeding their running backs, it was a lot of designed runs by Jalen Hurts and a lot of throwing. And I think one of the things they need to get back to is establishing Miles Sanders. And I think that's a great way to kind of get this offense kickstarted. I think that's one thing. But I would say probably one of the bigger things on defense, and this is a good defense, but one of the biggest things on defense is, from a defensive perspective, is they stopped taking the ball away. And they were the best team in football at taking the ball away, and the turnover differential was their in my opinion, strongest stat in the early going. And that kind of went away. And I think that's something they have to refine here. And I would say the third thing, from a defensive perspective, they need it, and they still need to be better at getting off the field and not allowing these long, time-consuming drives, which keeps their offense off the field. If you get back to that Saints game they lost, which was probably the worst game of the season that they played, the Saints came out and had almost a 9-minute drive, which just sucked the air out of everything. And they adjusted after that, but it was really almost too late from a couple perspectives. So defense has got to get off the field on third down. They got to take the ball away. And I'll throw one individual in there. Darius Slay's got to play a lot better than he has played of late. He gets all the hype. He talks a lot, but he has got to be better. Bradbury's been a much better corner than him the last 8 games of the year. Slay has been a guy that teams have gone after. They haven't been afraid to go after, and he hasn't had a pick since October. So he's got to be better individually.
Their defensive numbers are great, but you just got to the same thing. It's not really another defensive question I can ask, but just to point out their third down percentage is middle of the pack in the league, where every other defensive number is in the top 10. And as you pointed out, if your corner's not getting it done, how do you go about getting more turnovers? Is it more blitzing? I mean, obviously you can try to dial it up, but if they're not getting the takeaways, why are they not getting the takeaways anymore?
Yeah, I would say what you need to do, they're a team that got 70 sacks. And it was the third most in the history of the NFL. They went from 29 sacks last year to 70. I mean, an amazing jump. And Hassan Reddick was a big part of that. And one of the things that he is really good at is the strip sack. I think he had 5 or 6 forced fumbles off the top of my head. I would think with Daniel Jones, he's an elusive guy. There's no doubt he's athletic as heck, but he also will hold onto the ball for a long time because he thinks he can make plays. That's going to be something to keep your eye on. If Hassan Reddick gets near him, he's got a real knack for the strip sack. And I think he's a guy who could get a takeaway. I think maybe some of it, one of the biggest criticisms in Philadelphia, and I actually think he's a really good coordinator, but there are a lot of people that, want to get on him all the time. I think Jonathan Gannon is a guy whose mantra is basically, we're not giving up the big play. Keep it in front of you. And sometimes there's a lack of aggression. And I think one of the things you could do is maybe change it up a little bit, send a couple more people, maybe get into a little more press man coverage, which could allow some interceptions rather than just keeping them in front of you. So I think there are a couple ways you can do it just to change it up. I don't think he's going to do a ton of that. It's just not his personality, and I'm fine with that. The defense played pretty darn good all season. But that's a couple things that you may see in this game.
Rob Ellis, WIP in Philadelphia, also does noon to 3 on the YouTube Jacob Sports channel. Follow him on Twitter, REllis Sports, REllis Sports. When you look at Jalen, is this going to be the guy for the next 10 years? Because, mid-season, hell, he was top 3 for MVP. Are the Eagles doing something which hardly anyone else is able to do? Draft a guy in the second round, develop him, and he becomes your guy.
The short answer is yes. I think he's going to get a contract extension in the offseason. And look, this guy's done everything right. He is a non-cliche first in, last out guy. He's a leader. You hear veterans who have been in the league for 13 years quoting him. He's 24 years old. That tells you the influence he's got in that locker room. So I think that plays a big, big part, that he's a leader, he's a worker, and he delivers. Here's what I'm worried about. I threw this comparison out and people thought I was nuts earlier, a couple of weeks ago. I worry that this may turn into a Joel Embiid situation where the guy's a great player, but he can't quite, from a health perspective, get to the finish line. And that's the one thing that would concern me, is because of the nature of what he does and the way that he does it. And he's not reckless. He's not Michael Vick taking on a linebacker or anything like that. He's very smart in the way he gets down. But when you have the ball in your hands that many times as a runner and a passer in that league, it's difficult to stay upright and stay healthy. That would be the biggest concern for me, is just him being able to stay healthy and get to the finish line rather than anything else. I have no doubt about his character and his ability and how much better he's going to get because he works his tail off. But it's getting to the finish line. But make no mistake, he's going to get paid, and it's probably going to happen this offseason.
Rob, a quick final question. The Eagles went and got a couple veterans in the second half of the season to help on defense. Have they made a contribution?
Big time. Linval Joseph has been excellent for them. He has been really, really good. He's probably the lesser of the names, when it comes to Sue and, even a Robert Quinn, because Quinn had such a good year last year and has been non-existent this year. But Linval Joseph's been very good for them. And he's a guy who, I think, depending on, what number he's looking for, could be back. I don't know about the others, but I would keep my eye on Sue because he is usually a money player in big spots and playoff games. I think he may be a guy who comes through with a big contribution. I wouldn't expect that much out of Robert Quinn. For whatever reason, he's like an every other year guy, and he was great last year, and he's been really bad. He's been banged up here for the Eagles. But the two defensive tackles have helped. Not only have they played pretty well generally, they've also allowed other guys to take less snaps, and it's helped them stay fresh, like a Fletcher Cox and a Javon Hargrave. It's one of the reasons the Eagles' defensive line has been so good, is because they're able to just run fresh guys in and out. So there were two really good moves by Howie Roseman. Not surprising. Howie Roseman has been, on fire the last couple of years as a GM.
He sure has. Rob Ellis, Sports Take is the show, noon to 3 on the Jacob Sports YouTube channel, and then you can listen to him on 94 WIP in Philly. Follow him on Twitter, REllis Sports, REllis Sports. Rob, you've been good to us over the years. We appreciate it. All the best to you. And if the Eagles continue to advance, hopefully you'll answer the phone.
My pleasure, guys. Always fun being with you. Thank you.
You bet. Rob Ellis still has time to mop the floors before his noon to 3 show.
It's important in some of the buildings that we've worked in. Got to find a good mop guy. I mean, I can't say that this is the most cleanly business that you will ever see. And it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether you're in Florida or Philadelphia. Radio stations have a way to attract a layer of grime and grit to them that you need a good sweeper.
We are a group of people, okay, who don't necessarily clean up after themselves well. You know how if you sit at a you see the people who kind of clean it up and throw out their stuff and the others that just leave it. Okay. I think the media people are more just leave it.
And at a restaurant, that's great because that's what servers want. They don't want you stacking your plates. They have a way they do it themselves. They don't want you handing them things. They certainly don't want you grabbing it off the tray. But when you're at your work life or your home life, you are supposed to do a little more of the stacking and picking up.
Okay, Raymond James Stadium press box. I was, had a little time to kill, and I'm just sitting there and I'm watching which members of the media throw their stuff out and which members just leave it. See, I think at the press box you have to clean up after yourself.
You do. You should. But that isn't always the case with the media members. Back in the day, I would have blamed the newspaper guys, but there's only 6 of those left, so it had to be more than that, David. That's the only problem that I see is that it's all ends on that one.
But remember, 3 of the 6 are along the west coast of Florida. We said when there's 5 newspapers left, at least 2 of them will be on I-75.
Yep, there'll be a couple in New York, and then there'll be one in St. Pete, one in Naples. That's kind of the way we figured this out.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks to Rob Ellis for joining us. If you missed Matt Cannata last hour, Roy Cummings at the top of this hour, and Rob Ellis, go to floridasportsnetwork.com, floridasportsnetwork.com, and download our podcasts. Tomorrow, by the way, Pat Kerwin at 7 o'clock. Pat Kerwin at 7 o'clock now on Fridays. JP Shadrick for our Jags talk. JP's like, come on, we got a good thing going. We got a winning streak. Friday at 8:38, right?
I knew it. I knew he booked himself. I knew when I saw it that he booked himself and he did it at the same time. Nobody's superstitious in this business. Nobody at all.
No. What's the line in Bull Durham? Don't.
With a winning streak.
There you go.
Miller and Moulton shooting for our first winning streak right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686 or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. That's the ugly.
Oh,
thank you.
Whew. Jesus.
1 minute. So yesterday we were talking about the Florida Man Challenge, where you just put Florida Man and then your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is Florida Man steals candles, sprays people at mall with bear mace. Florida Man steals alligator from mini golf course, then stomps on it.
My dog hates dogs.
No,
it's not really. He gets really excited. He barks at every damn dog.
5 seconds.
It's always nice being the veterinarian's dog when you're the worst animal in this.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We've kind of gone forward today, turned our attention for the first time really all week to the divisional playoffs, which begin late Saturday afternoon. Weather will be a factor in Kansas City and Buffalo. Weather not expected to be a factor Saturday night in Philly. And Sunday, early evening East Coast time, but late afternoon West Coast time in Santa Clara. Buffalo, by the way, you're talking like high 20s and sleet. Apparently, there's like a 96% chance of precipitation during the game. And if the temperatures are going to be in the upper 20s, that should be fun, right? Little snow sleet mix for Bills Bengals.
There is nothing worse than cold rain / sleet. I mean, there is really no weather out there. Come on, David. You lived in Fargo. You lived in one of the coldest places in North America, but certainly in the United States of America, I should say. There are not 5 places colder than Fargo, North Dakota.
No.
What would you take? The cold temperatures of Fargo for a winter or a whole winter of sleet?
Yeah, obviously the wetness is not good. I mean, that's where you're rooting for it to change over to snow.
Yes.
We just get a couple degrees colder. Let's just make this snow. I don't care how much of it either. Let's just turn it to snow. So supposedly upper 20s. You know, I will say it's being played during the quote unquote hottest part of the day, 1 to 4 Eastern. So, but anyway, they think weather could be a factor in Buffalo and a little bit of a factor in Kansas City. So that's where we're focusing on divisional playoffs today. Also talking about what should Tampa Bay do going forward? What should the Dolphins do going forward? And is Tom Brady tied to both? For everything that Roy Cummings said, by the way, about Tampa Bay, that's what I would do if I was Miami, just so you know. His solution for Tampa Bay is my action in Miami.
And you just blow out McDaniel to get Sean Payton.
Yeah. Yes.
Picks. Well, and you'd probably have to give up more because you don't have a first-round pick this year. So it's your 2024 first-round pick, your 2025 first-round pick, and a 2 this year?
I don't know. I might give up a third-rounder this year and then the 2 ones.
Okay.
But yeah.
You want Sean Payton, and this is the game that Pat always plays with you. Okay, no, I want your second. Period. I'm not doing the deal unless I get your second this year.
And that's fine. And then I would probably cave and do it because I wouldn't let a 1-round difference in 1 draft pick be the difference between me getting him or not. I don't think that the Saints are getting 2 first-round picks for Sean Payton. I don't. I think they're getting 1. And then they may get something else. But if they get 2, which quite frankly, the market is 2, I mean, precedent. All right.
And there are multiple teams who want him right now. So the likelihood of them getting more than less is there just simply by the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, that's the first thing. I would need to find, are we sure they're getting 2 first-round picks? That's number one. And if that's the case, but I would offer up my first in 24, my first in 25. First off, Mark, let's be brutally honest. There's a good chance based on past drafting that one of those 2 picks we're going to miss on anyway.
And the other side of it, David, where I know you're going, if you're right in bringing Peyton and Brady in, where are these picks going to be the next 2 years?
Well, right. I mean, in theory, they're late.
They're in the 20s. Mm-hmm. Hopefully one of them's in the 30s. Because you're not doing this to give up 2 picks in the 20s. You're doing up to give 1 pick in the 20s and hopefully 1 in the 30s, like 32nd.
Now, the Dolphins had to forfeit this year's first rounder, tampering with Peyton and Brady last offseason. The Dolphins would have been picking either 20th or 21st. I'm not sure. They had the same record as Seattle. but I don't know. And Seattle's picking 20th. I don't know if the Dolphins would have been one ahead of Seattle or one behind them. So either 20th or 21st was the pick that the Dolphins end up losing by getting caught tampering with Peyton and Brady.
According to what I have, it's 21.
Okay. So like it just, nooks and crannies here. The Chargers were ahead of Baltimore in seeding in the AFC playoffs. The Chargers were the 5, Baltimore was the 6. But when they figure out draft position, since both teams had the same record, Baltimore is actually, behind the Chargers. That they view the Chargers as the inferior team based on winning percentage and Baltimore the better team. Whereas in playoff seeding, it was exactly the opposite. So different criteria used, a different result. But can I just ask you a simple question? If you were willing to do the Sean Payton, Tom Brady marriage a year ago, why are you not willing to do it now?
To me, you saw this coach, you saw what he's able to do, and you're excited about the future with Tua and this coach. That's the simple answer to me. That they've done enough, the offense is explosive enough, you like Tua, and you think you can go forward with McDaniel and Tua.
Do you believe what you just said?
I believe the McDaniel part more than I believe the Tua part, and I'm a Tua guy. I can't go forward with Tua because he gets injured.
You use the word excited. Now I'm gonna test you on that, okay? Because let's just say you're Greer and I'm Ross, and I'm looking at you going, "Well, Chris, I know you weren't in favor of a year ago, but my thought is I want to do what I wanted to do a year ago. So please tell me why it is I shouldn't do this." And you just gave me your answer, and I would look at you and go, "Are you truly excited?" Excited. Like, which team's chances are you more excited about next year, the Lions or the Dolphins?
Ooh.
You know what I'm getting at here.
No, that's
how excited. I mean, excited. Okay, Chris, excited as in you're pretty sure you make the handful of changes you want to make, but you're going to roll this sucker back, and we are going to be a problem for people next year. We're 11-plus wins. We're playing in at least the divisional round. That's what you're saying.
Yes. We nearly beat Buffalo with Skylar Thompson, our third-string quarterback. I am excited. I'm excited about where our receivers are. They played with all the injuries that they played with. I think the defense can continue to improve. That second half defense showed that their second half of the season defense showed it can play.
Okay. And what if I say to you, how about if I just agree with everything you said? I'm going to upgrade the coach and upgrade the quarterback. I'm going to keep everything else the same. What's the problem? What am I missing here?
And I can't go draft capital. I can't. I mean, that's what you're giving up, but you're giving it up in your estimation to get a better coach. And ultimately, David, you know this. If that's where they are, Ross is going to win this argument. I mean, we know that.
Well, sure. The other thing that I want, Stephen Ross, I believe, turns 83 in May. I think it's 83. Maybe I'm a year off. But here's the other thing. Stephen Ross has been a bridesmaid when it comes to the big deal for 15 years now. And by the way, was he the one that brought Saban? That was Huizenga, wasn't it? I thought it was Huizenga. Think about it. He couldn't get Harbaugh. He couldn't win on Peyton Manning. He failed when he was going to go Sean Payton, Tom Brady. I mean, Stephen Ross has wanted to make the big move ever since he's been owner, and he keeps either screwing it up or finishing second. And he's about to turn 83. I just don't, you can't sell, if I'm Stephen Ross, Mark, you can't sell me on, no. We're going Mike McDaniel, Tua, instead of Sean Payton, Tom Brady. I'd look at you and go, you're serious. You're willing, because now I'm looking at you like you do know this is your career. Think long and hard about what you're saying. And that's why I would challenge you on you're excited. Okay, put your career on the line excited. Because that's how excited you better be, Chris. I'm telling you right now. Because I will fire your blank a year from now in a heartbeat.
Let me ask you a question. If they do this, and I know you said you can't, let's just say it's 1 year. Tom only plays one more year. Have you lost everything you had with Tua if you sit him for a year? Can you bring him back and rehab him in 1 year sitting behind Brady? Or if you bring this in, is it the end of Tua in Miami?
Well, I mean, worst case scenario, if we do what I would do, and we're going with Brady and Tua's his backup because I just can't trust him. I mean, he's not available. I can't trust him. I can always franchise him. If Brady retires a year sooner than I think he's going to, if I'm the Dolphins, I think I'm going to get him for 2.
Right. But you only get him for 1, whatever reason.
I could, in a worst case scenario, franchise Tua because I'm not picking up his 5th-year option. Because why am I going to do that for a backup quarterback? But then when he becomes I could just franchise him. I mean, so if I absolutely had to, Mark, I could have Tua as my quarterback in 2024. What's he going to do? Pout? He's making franchise tag money and he's a starting quarterback. Suck it up. By the way, I benched you for the greatest quarterback of all time. Deal with it.
Miller and Moulton. Miss any of the show? Like that little back and forth, 21,000 texting, Florida Sports Network to download any part of the show that you missed on the podcast. A lot of people want you to be their owner, David. A lot of people thought Roy Cummings was nuts today. There were some saying, get him, Roy, I'm all for you. As half the audience was all in for Roy, the other half thought he was bat blank crazy.
It's another reason why I'd go all in. Look at the Dolphins' schedule next year. It's hard. You got to be really good. I mean it. AFC East got a tough draw. They drew the NFC East and the AFC West.
Well, think about the division in of itself. Buffalo's not going anywhere. New England's going to get better, you think, and the Jets are going to get better.
And then you drew the NFC East where everybody finished 500 or above and the AFC West. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us, Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686 or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Live Golf just announced the CW deal.
They haven't even announced their full schedule yet for the year,
I understand, but I'm guessing getting a TV agreement was probably more important than announcing their schedule.
I think they're going to play on like 3 or 4 Trump courses. I think they're going back to Bedminster. I think he's giving them their course in D.C. I think they go back to Doral.
Thanks, Johnny Mac's wife. Big day today, David. Got a guy kicking the house, got kicking tires on big boy homes.
Nice. Nice.
Would be.
Nice.
It really would be.
Oh, you were great with me.
It's not that hard. It's just sales. Answer the phone. Be there when you're supposed to be.
I understand that.
But you know what I mean? It's like
But you do know, as somebody who's been on the other side of it, the staggering number of people who just don't, I need you to be here. I need you to do this. I need you to, yep.
the press release. CW Network and Live Golf forge multi-year broadcast rights agreement. First line, one of America's 5 major broadcast networks, the CW will bring more professional golf to fans.
We sure about that?
I mean, we're on AM, and we like AM, David. That's like saying Miller and Moulton. We've made it syndicated on AM radio across the state. Please listen.
Exactly. We're on one of the 3 premier AM stations in all the markets.
No, it's not. Well, it's market to market, Johnny, but it's not like in Southwest Florida. We do not get the CW on DirecTV. I can watch it via my HD antenna, but
like that's going to happen.
I have it out. I've always got it hooked up to the one TV. Has to be.
Oh, okay.
Because I watch when I have the TVs out for games.
Gotcha.
I don't have enough boxes.
30 seconds.
So I got this wild email on the Miller and Moulton email this morning about some guy.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, all coming up. A little more than 15 minutes time. During that commercial break, it was made official what Sports Business Journal reported a few days ago. And David Faraday kind of spilled the beans on a couple days ago. LIV Golf, and CW. You know, you watch it all the time. You know exactly where it is on your TV, right? They forged a deal, multi-year deal. Of course, it's a revenue share, so you know. I mean, CW's like, yeah, sure. What the heck? I mean, what do they have? 3 shows on that network?
3 shows.
Yet, how are they being billed? However,
according to the release, David, from Live Golf, one of America's 5 major broadcast networks, the CW, will bring more professional golf to fans, reaching more than 120 million households across the U.S.
Are we sure about that statement? Okay,
I'm
are
looking
we
up
sure?
No, we're not. I'm looking back on the best CW shows of all time. Supernatural. Have you heard of it?
Listen,
Veronica Mars. Just stop me when you've heard of one of these great shows.
Just keep going.
21,000 text line. Feel free to send us, okay, if you can name a CW show.
Well, current one would be impossible. The Gilmore Girls. I do remember that show.
Yes.
Smallville, I remember that show. So we're 2 out of 4. The
All right.
Vampire Diaries, I vaguely remember that show being on television. Never watched it.
I remember it. I never watched.
Gossip Girl. Remember that show.
Okay. All right.
The Flash. Remember that show. Only because Seth talks about it all the time. Jane the Virgin. Missed that one. Probably feel like I should go back and Netflix it. And then One Tree Hill. And I think that was their number 1 show of all time. The CW. Again, one of America's 5 major broadcast networks.
That's funny.
And Moulton and I like the Live Golf Tour.
Well, we're at least
intrigued by it.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, it's competition to a major pro sports league. We never thought we'd see it again in any major sport in this country. And the fact that we're now seeing it intrigues us. Now, we know if LIV loses in court here in the next year and they lose with, you know, the world golf ranking people and don't get their events, get points and what have you, that the thing's probably going to go away. But until it does, we're intrigued by it. Because we do sports talk for a living. We're into carnage.
And we never realized just how much all of you loved the PGA Tour. Not the players, not the golfers, but the tour itself stood for so much more than we ever imagined.
You know what, Mark? You know what the PGA Tour should do at the beginning of every broadcast? It doesn't matter what's network it's on.
Play the anthem?
They should play Lee Greenwood's Proud to Be an American. I mean, they should really just throttle the boat full blast. Let's go.
Be interesting with all their international players how they do that, but it doesn't
matter. You guys are selling out too. You're American too. You abandoned the European tour, please. You all moved to the greater Orlando area. You're playing the PGA Tour. Don't
you didn't give up your locker at Lake Nona this week.
It's exactly right. You made the women have metal lockers that were flown in from, I don't know, Montana. Okay. And they're outside in the parking lot. Metal lockers for the best female golfers in the world. Unbelievable. Anyway, we digress. So that's the breaking news. Of course, you were already tipped off on it anywhere from 2 to 5 days ago if you're paying attention, but there you have it.
But it's official now.
All right, and by the way, feel free, 21,000 text line. Did you watch any of those shows ever on CW? And you can't say your wife watched it or your daughter watched it or what have you. No, you. Did you watch any of those shows?
And most of those shows people have watched, but on Netflix. Like,
quite possible. Right. I don't know how many of them watched them as they were going on.
Well, as Trenton points out, because we're in the local hour, the bonus hour, FGCU broadcast a game or two on the CW. Did you do those games, David? Have you broadcast a game on the CW?
All right. The folks that own Wink purchased the CW station, and they owned it like a week or two. And FGCU women were the number 1 ranked Division II team in the country. It was 2007. And they were undefeated. And they went to the Elite Eight. And it was the first team, Mark, of FGCU to actually get a few people paying attention locally, because when they beat, I believe it was Delta State, to go to the Elite Eight, there were standing room only at Alico. It was the first time ever that they had to bring, the upper area seats out, and, the students rushed the court also. It was the first time that had ever happened at an FGCU basketball game. So there were over 4,000 people in attendance. The women beat Delta State. They went to the national tournament, which the women in Division II, it was the Elite Eight. They brought 8 teams together. You played 3 games in 4 days. They were the number 1 team in the country, undefeated. And the guy running CW, the people in North Dakota, FGCU played the University of North Dakota in the first round game. And North Dakota had all their games televised. And so the North Dakota people called down here and offered the broadcast to any station that wanted it. So Jim Schwartzel, who had just purchased CW, said, yeah, I'll take the game. I'll put it on CW. Maybe it'll get a few people to actually find who we are and what have you. And the North Dakota station agreed that basically if FGCU beat their team, if you pay us, we'll keep doing their games. And so they did, since FGCU won, they did the semifinal as well. The national championship game aired on ESPN2. But that was like that was March of 2007 is when that was.
Well, I know I couldn't get the Everblades on the CW. Trust me, I tried. We ended up on My 8.
Right, UPN, wasn't it, right?
Yeah, UPN, that's right. It was UPN 8 back then.
So there you have it in Southwest Florida. That was the first time that many of us had ever gone, wait a minute, CW? We've got a CW?
Well, but for the longest time, they show the ACC game, don't they? The noon ACC games on the CW?
Mm-hmm. CW6, right?
Yes.
Didn't they call themselves that for a while? I don't know if they still do.
I don't know because I don't get the channel. It is not part of the local channels you get on DirecTV.
Like, I know that's the sister channel for Wink to put their newscasts on. Like, Lois Tomei and Chris Safati do 6 and 7, but at 6:30 they do a broadcast on CW. And then I believe they do a 10 o'clock on CW before they do their 11 o'clock on Wink. It's not those two anchors, but you get the idea. So,
because the only thing that we can have more of is more news,
no
and
doubt,
more weather.
Yeah, we need more local news. Yep, no question.
Starting at 3:30 in the morning on your local channel.
So there you have it. We didn't plan on spending all that much time on it, but how it works.
One of America's 5 major broadcast networks.
I don't know. I'm calling BS personally. I'm in the audience going, can we just talk about this?
That's cap.
Oh, Miller and Moulton on one of the 5 networks in the state of Florida.
And I'm calling BS on that too. And I don't even know if there are 4 others.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So you were starting to say about the email that you got.
Oh, I got this random email from some dude who syndicates shows and basically, I don't know what it is. I sent it to Marty. I just laughed about it. What is it? Hang on here. From Francis Battaglia. Let me know if you're interested in expanding your show nationally. I buy time on radio stations nationally on your behalf. I have the best availability and rates in stations' top 75 markets. Blah, blah, blah. Call me to discuss it further. I just sent it to Marty.
Yeah, I'm guessing, Adam, like Trenton said, I think it will be live. They'll just force the guys to play. Remember, they do shotgun starts. It's actually easier to do it live. You just force everybody to play at, well, it'll be, no. That's interesting, Mark. Like, say you're in Europe and you're 5-6 hours ahead. Would you air it live at 10, 11 in the morning here? Or would you just tape it live and run it 3 to 6?
Tape it live, run it 3 to 6.
Oh. My guess is, by the way, they will just tape it as live. Will also be interesting, will they show all 18 holes? Like right now they do. They did it on YouTube. So they showed the whole round. But do you think they'll show all 18 holes?
Obviously, do shotguns.
Well, you could edit, if you know what I mean, especially overseas.
Yeah.
I actually think they show too much golf. I actually wish they would take a little more time. because they want to pump this whole team thing. And I wish they gave the announcers a few seconds to set some things up to make you realize the one tournament that I was in the booth for, okay, I found myself going, man, I wish the play-by-play guy had 8 to 10 seconds to set up just how big of a shot this is. The other thing they need to do is they need to make the team name something that everybody can understand. Like, I think they should name the teams either after a sponsor or after the golfer. They shouldn't come up with these funky names that they came up with. It's either Team Hyundai or it's Team Kepka.
Yeah, I don't know how I'll ever get into the team part of it, if you want to know what I mean. I have no interest in team golf with the exception of the Ryder Cup. And I mean, that's the one exception.
10 seconds.
Right.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$22 minutes till the top of the hour, 17 minutes until we're done. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kerwin, 7 a.m. tomorrow. JP Shadrick, a little after 8:30 to preview the Jags and the Chiefs. That's right. Last Florida NFL team standing in the 2022 playoffs. Come on, we all called it. JAGS. Jags, Jags, Jags.
Unbelievable.
What do you mean? They won 4 games total the last 2 years. What are you talking about?
And what were they? 2 and what?
They were 2-6.
Uh-huh.
And I think 3-7, 4-8. Right.
It's amazing. It's remarkable.
Ah, come on. Had it all along. That's what they're saying in these parts, Mark. That's their slogan.
No,
it was
they're
always
not.
the Jags.
No, they're not. They're not even thinking it.
That's their story. They're
But
sticking to it.
Hey, ride it as long as you can. Love to see Trevor coming back home and getting off the plane and taking everybody to the Waffle House again.
I have a feeling he may have a few people meet him. I have a feeling that there might be hundreds of people in the parking lot at the Waffle House next time.
I love that he went right through with what the order was, what his usual order is, what his backup order is. This guy's done the Waffle House after drinking many a time. This is Tom Brady in the early days before he found the TB12 diet.
He grew up in Georgia. He went to college in South Carolina. He's playing pro football in Jacksonville.
Yeah, he went to college in Clemson, South Carolina. I mean, there's a reason why the folks in Columbia, South Carolina make fun of Clemson, South Carolina.
Yeah, but there are Waffle Houses nearby.
That's all there is. That's my point. It's fine dining, David.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was the first intercollegiate hockey game in 1898. Brown 6, Harvard nothing.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wasn't yesterday like the first ever basketball game? Collegiate basketball game? So
Correct.
How about that? Oh.
Today in 1955, Scrabble debuts. Do you like Scrabble?
I was not a huge fan, surprisingly. Even though I was big into spelling. I entered spelling contests and everything.
I could see as a kid not liking it. I could see it being a big game around the Moulton House in the evenings. Now that football season's over.
My mother never, and
I mean now. I don't mean at your house. I mean now, David.
Oh, I'm sorry, but you asked me about.
Means your house.
Oh, still the answer is no. No. Mark, I can't get my wife to spend that much quality time with me. A board game? Are you serious?
She might win. Today in 61, the first episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show is filmed. Big day today in 74. Notre Dame 71, UCLA 70, ending the Bruins' 88-game win streak.
Bruins had like a 9-point lead with under 5 minutes to play and never scored again. And remember, there was no shot clock.
We go all the way to 03. AFC Championship, Oakland beats Tennessee, and Tampa Bay beats Philadelphia 27-10.
Big pass to Joe Jurevicius in the first half, and then the pick six late.
2014 championships were held today. The Broncos beating the Patriots 26-16, and the Seahawks beating the Niners 23-17. 2020 championships played today. The Chiefs beating the Titans and San Francisco beating Green Bay. Those born today that are no longer with us: Edgar Allan Poe, Gene Stapleton, Archie, Phil Everly, Janis Joplin, Dan Reeves, Junior Seau, and Mac Miller, all born today. Those celebrating birthdays today: Dolly Parton is 77. Robert Palmer is 74. Otis Anderson is 66. That was for David. Stefan Edberg is 57. Tyrone Wheatley is 51. Frank Caliendo is 49 years old. And golfer Tommy Fleetwood is 32 years old today. And that, David, is today was the day when.
Will Fleetwood ever win a major? 32. He's finished second a couple times. I mean, he has not won many tournaments. I don't think he's won in the States.
I would go with no if I were to bet. What would you bet on?
I would bet no. But, remember, he shot that great at Shinnecock. What was it? Was it a 63 or 64 in the final round? Had a birdie putt at the end, which could have given him the lead in the clubhouse. It was when Koepka went back-to-back at the Open, getting up and down from everywhere on the back nine to win by one. He made another run in a major, I think finished top 3. He had that amazing Ryder Cup. But
yeah, I don't think so.
Just throwing that out there. I mean, 32 is not old. In fact, there was a day in which that was the beginning of the golfer's prime. They thought it was like 32 to 37. Now, 32, we think you're on the downside. Rory's 34, right? And it's like, is he ever going to win again?
Well, is Rory going to win another major?
Yes.
Is it going to be this year?
I don't know. Here's the problem for Rory. Okay. He needs that major to be the Masters. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, okay, you took it from 4 to 5. That's great.
I'm with you. Right now, Rory has not been consistent enough for me to think he's going to get a major because I don't think the game's going to get better.
How about this? Who wins a major first, Rory or one of the LIV golfers?
Ooh, I'd bet on the LIV golfers. Give me the Live Golf on that one right now.
Okay. Because there's a couple guys on that tour in which you wonder if they'll ever win again. And I'm not just talking about the 40-plus crowd. DJ, Koepka, for that matter. Koepka going to win another major? I would bet yes, because he's a great finisher. When he sniffs it, he usually wins it.
Yeah, I've got a Cam Smith on Live Golf, and I'll take that.
Okay, that's true.
I just have a quick addition. Conor McGregor's last UFC win was today 3 years ago. He knocked out Cowboy Cerrone in 40 seconds. He hasn't won a UFC match since then.
How many times has he fought since then?
I think 4 times. It's been a while.
Didn't know we were still talking about him. That guy's become a complete afterthought. No, he has.
He's still one of the greatest in the sport.
His bank account is.
Well, that's because of the proper 12. It has nothing to do with the UFC. It's his whiskey he's made all the money on.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
I know it doesn't seem like much, but we go to Sanibel, where every day is a better day. And I have to give the city of Sanibel credit, because if you've been on the island, they're very strict with their codes and how high things can be and what you can and can't do. But they have passed a resolution to allow local businesses to display merchandise outside, something that you would have never thought could happen in Sanibel long ago. But trying to get their local businesses back up and going, Sanibel allowing businesses to display outside their stores. Good for Sanibel. For the bad, we go to Cape Coral. I know it's a trend, but in this case, it's for a reason. Michael Mole was at a Cape Coral restaurant with his backwards hat baseball cap at the age of 49, which is a bit much unless your last name's Brady. He got a little runk. First, he was calm. Restaurant employees offered him an Uber to take him home. The Uber came. He could barely walk. He could barely talk, slurring his words. Then they told him police were called. That's when he started running around the streets, nearly hit by a car, and finally took it out and urinated all over the place before he spent the night in jail. It's never the answer. It is never, there is never, ever been, hey, you know how we solve this problem? I'm going to drop my It's not the answer on an airplane. It's not the answer on a bar. In fact, it's not the answer anywhere.
I was going to say, I thought you were going a little green eggs and ham there. It's not the answer here. It's not the answer here, and it's not the answer there.
It's not the answer near. It's not the answer far.
It's not the answer anywhere.
There you go. We go to Georgia for the ugly, where railroad workers had to rescue a male raccoon after it became frozen to one side of the tracks.
Wait, what?
It was frozen to one side of the tracks by its private parts.
Oh.
The animal was seen facing the oncoming train carriage that straddled one side of the track. Neil Mullis was out on the job when he came across the traumatized raccoon, and with a little hot water and a shovel, was able to break the raccoon free from the railway. That's going to leave a mark. Maybe a couple.
Yeah, but not the mark that the train would have made.
It's true. That raccoon's alive and kicking and swollen. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, January the 19th, 2023.
Hey, yeah, Joe? Yeah, we need you to head over to, the tracks. Okay, what do you need me to do? Well, a raccoon's frozen to him. Yeah. Well, just go, set the raccoon free. And then you walk over there and you look and you go, holy blank.
They're nasty animals, too.
I would like to think they'd be thankful, though, if they're frozen to the tracks.
Think how nasty you'd be if you're frozen to the tracks.
I'd actually be very happy to see whoever's coming to rescue me.
I don't think that's what Bob Dylan was talking about when he said blood on the tracks. I'm not sure.
I don't think so. Hey, interesting sports night. Basketball, TNT's got the double dip. Rematch of the finals, Golden State, Boston early. Nets, Suns late. Phoenix, by the way, right now wouldn't even make the play-in the West. That's how badly they're faltering. College hoops tonight, Mark. Your Spartans hosting nationally ranked Rutgers. I just wanted to be able to say that. I think that's Big Ten Network, or maybe it's FS1. I don't know. By the way, nationally ranked FAU on the road tonight against a bad UTSA. You'd have to go to ESPN Plus to find that.
Dude, that's a 6:30 start on FS1 for Sparty and Rutgers, by the way.
Exactly, baby.
6:30 start.
That's the Mark Miller game right there.
I love that game.
Done by 8:40. FGCU home tonight. They haven't played a lot of home games, played a lot of road games. I think they were tired on the last road trip. They got blown out twice. They're home for Jacksonville State. They need to sweep this 2-game homestand.
They're a big favorite tonight. 9.5's the number, David.
I like them tonight a lot because I think they'll be thrilled to be home. I don't know if anybody's going to see them, but I think they'll be thrilled to be home. Listen, Lightning and Edmonton at 9 o'clock on ESPN. That's right. Connor McDavid against Stammer and the boys, 9 o'clock on the Four-Letter Network. And Mark, the Bruins are technically a slight underdog tonight at Madison Square against the Rangers. That's ridiculous.
They did play last night.
Okay. I get a chance. I get the Bruins and odds. They've lost 5 games in regulation.
I understand. I'm just saying one team played last night. The other one didn't.
I know. And the Rangers getting Kreider back. I know. I'm still betting the Bruins, even against my team. Panthers are in Montreal for the 6 of you that'll watch that on a Bally Sports channel.
Wow. Even Canadian fans don't want to watch that game. They're so bad right now.
Right. Exactly. Especially if they wear those alternate unis.
Which team wears powder blue?
Right. When neither one of them should. That's tonight on Bally Sports.
That's actually a must-win for the Florida Panthers, by the way.
Yes, it is.
These are road games. They're starting to get their act together, but these are games you can't screw up.
I'm all in on Lightning Oilers.
Absolutely.
Felipe will be all in on Golden State Boston.
Little finals rematch.
Although we might have to work the FGCU game tonight.
Yeah, I do.
Do you fall asleep during those too?
They hit a lot of 3-pointers. So
we hit 3-pointers during this whole show, and you fall asleep during it. We've hit the post. We've hit a crossbar. We've had an empty net goal, and you managed to fall asleep. I'm just curious. Do you fall asleep during the FGCU games?
Well, I got like a 20-pound camera on my shoulder. So,
well, bring that in tomorrow morning. Wear it the whole show. See if you do better.
7 o'clock tonight, the Eagles, the men in action. The women are on the road.
You know, one little thing I saw, David, because you've been following them a little bit, is Kennesaw State supposed to be good this year? Because Stetson is, and they're only a 1.5-point favorite at home.
Yeah, the best Kennesaw State team probably in about 10, 12 years.
All right.
The A-Sun's actually pretty salty this year.
Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening to Football Friday tomorrow with Pat Kerwin, 6 a.m. See you then.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686, or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars,